95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Gene's a big-timer, a social misfit. Clueless to the title of the biggest buskeg hits. Chuck Munchie's goons have the last say. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayo. Danger likes his cold ones and he likes his bears. But this is Rochester, cute Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
He's critical of Sean, he's critical of Alan. Of course he married Sandy, cause she's Italian. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
I don't know how you're doing today. I'm walking around today almost like still in this state of euphoria. Like yesterday was a massive party and I'm not really hungover. I'm just waiting for the next opportunity to do that again because we had so much to chew on in the aftermath of the Bills getting the win on Monday night. And now we look forward to a game against Tennessee with Amari Cooper on the roster. It's an exciting week.
I don't think today's a hangover. I think it's like a carryover, if you will, because I have opinions from that game. A lot of people do that we didn't even get to yesterday.
Doesn't even matter.
Yeah, so like if you were like, oh, yeah, by the way, about this, or hey, about the Titans. I mean, I feel like we're behind schedule here. There was so much happening. We're already at Wednesday here. How are you, bud?
I'm doing well. Short week for me, off tomorrow, so I want to get a lot today, as much as we can today, and then I'll be back on Friday. Good cause.
No, but yeah, so good cause for you. I'm here tomorrow with Schneider, so we will have a show tomorrow.
Okay.
Which should be very entertaining, seeing that the way it works out, that the Yankees play the Guardians at 5 o'clock, and his head will explode. You are out golfing for a good cause.
Right. I mean, it's not for a good cause. It's for my daughter. I mean, it's her golf banquet at Mercy, and they do a daddy-daughter or a parent-daughter golf outing. And I didn't look at the forecast. It's tomorrow supposed to be like today, because today is kind of like if it's like today and it's dank,
I thought
we'll power through it.
I thought we were done. No, you got sun 57 tomorrow. That sun's out.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll take that for an afternoon of golf with my kid tomorrow afternoon in advance of her golf banquet. So that's my excuse for being absent from the sports bar tomorrow. But I'll leave you in good hands of Timmy Schneider, and Gina will be here as well. And yeah, Timmy being a Cleveland guy, a Guardians fan, a Browns fan, I'm sure he has plenty of opinions. And by the way, I mean, like, not a bad time to have Timmy come into the sports bar. And it's with that in mind that we're going to welcome in one of our guests later this afternoon here at 425, a guy with some 585 roots and now doing great things at our Odyssey Sports sister station, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Spencer German stops in to talk about what the Bills are getting in Amari Cooper.
Yeah, what the Bills are getting, and the Cleveland Brown fans even notice what happened? Or are you just so dialed in on the Guardians? Honestly, like if you are a Cleveland fan,
right,
your loyalties are across the board, and you're like, oh, football, whatever, this team, I hate this team. Every Browns fan I talk to, now that the quarterback is not only the worst in the league, not only the worst undisputedly in the league, he might be the worst quarterback of all time the way Watson has started. Browns fans are just wishing this team away, and they're like, well, good. Well, question number one I would have would be, I guess, tell us a little bit about Cooper and, why did the production fall off? But why didn't the Browns get more in this trade? Like, why the need to move him now? It's not like you're saving a lot of money. It's not that a 3-round move up from 6 to 3 is all that enticing. I'm just confused about that, Danger. Couldn't you have gotten more if you waited the deadline, or are you just worried that the guy might get hurt and then you get nothing? I don't know.
I want to know, just from a professional point of view, exactly how much Cleveland Browns are they talking about on the station there on 92.3 The Fan? Are they talking any Browns, or is it wall-to-wall Guardians talk? I would imagine they've kind of reversed, whereas this time of year you're usually talking NFL, but because it's so bad and the Guardians are in the ALCS, that you're wall-to-wall Guardians. And, by the way, the Browns traded Amari Cooper today.
I would think that they still are talking a good deal of Browns because their station colors are brown and
Brown,
orange.
yeah.
So, like, all right, yeah, you're kind of hooked up with that team.
Yeah. Spencer joins us at 4:25 this afternoon and stopping by as he does every Wednesday afternoon here. In about 20 minutes or so, we'll check in with the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports Betting Insider, PJ Glasser. And Insider Calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
So the Bills 3-game road trip. It's been a minute. The last time we had a Sunday home game kicking off, we hadn't even begun the season. It was 0-0, the Bills' record. That was week 1 for a Sunday home game. Wait a second. The line here, Bills are only favored by 8.5 against this, you mentioned this dank Tennessee team. I mean, this looks fishy, does it not? Just lay the points here, or is this a team that could give the Bills some problems?
I wonder which direction PJ is leaning on this. I know how I feel about this. I think what you have in Tennessee is a pretty good defense and a big, big defensive line. Like, moving bodies on that defensive line is a challenge for any team that goes up against the Titans, but you can obviously, move the ball in other ways, in other fashions. I like the idea that the Bills are returning home after a tough 3-game road trip. They got the win on Monday night. Yes, it's a short week, but you've got this kind of like, you've got this normalcy back, right? It's a 1:00 game in Orchard Park, and the guys love it. The fans love it, and everybody's going to be geared up for it. And you've got a team, from a culture standpoint, you see the move to get Cooper, and you have to be excited if you're in that locker room. Like, oh my God, we got better. We just got better. We got another guy. We got a guy who knows how to come in and will produce at some point. That move resonates, and it's the kind of move that we've seen Brandon Beane make. But it's the kind of move that you have nothing to lose. This is a low risk, high reward kind of move, and it shows that you're not asleep at the wheel and you're not satisfied with just doing things the way they've gone this season. I mean, they reversed course pretty quickly here from everybody eats to, we probably need a number 1. Maybe we should get a number 1. You think we should get a number 1? Yeah, let's get a number 1.
I kind of think that Cooper at this stage, I'm still going to drive that Shakir train. I think it's a 1A and 1B situation, or a 2A and 2B if you want to say that, but I just don't know if Cooper, 1-1 for now, we're saying, my gosh, he's the number 1 receiver. Maybe there's going to be some gift. At least it gives you some.
Let me try to change your mind on that.
All right.
As to why Cooper is a 1. Is there anybody in that Bills wide receiving room that is capable of over 200 yards receiving in a single game?
Well, the answer is no, of course, on that.
That's what you're getting out of Amari Cooper, who had 236 in a game just last year with Joe Flacco throwing him the football.
Here's the one thing I want to, and we've watched Amari Cooper for the better part of a decade here, right? It's 3rd and 6. Where's Allen going to trust?
Oh, I get that.
So it's how you define a number 1. But
Sure.
as far as, hey, this is a receiver that actually can win you the game, from that kind of platform, Cooper has that over Shakir. I'm excited, and I think a lot of the Bills fans are going to be excited to see this game on Sunday. I think it's a bad spot for the Titans, and call me Chalky Chalk, man. I think the Bills win this game. I think they cover, and it could be a blowout. But before we make our final decisions, we got all week to kind of explore this. We'll talk to the expert, PJ Glasser, coming up at the bottom of this hour.
And I know that there's a game that we're going to talk about with PJ later on this weekend as well. It's a Super Bowl rematch. I mean, it's the Chiefs and the Niners, and I'll be the first to remind you this stat that, some of these stats that PJ throws at us are kind of hidden and you don't really know or you forget. Andy Reid, 21-4 out of bye weeks.
Pretty darn good.
Not bad.
But
in fact, the best in NFL history.
But if you're the 49ers, isn't this a game you circled? I know circling the games on the calendar are kind of cliche. Last night, I didn't tell you. So last night it went on Binkley's show.
Oh, boy.
Now they're not on 610 anymore. They're on the FM in Kansas City. 96, not to be confused with CMF, 96.5 The Fan in Cleveland.
Yeah.
What were they saying in Kansas City about the Cooper trade? So
not a guy they want.
No,
not good enough.
No.
Come on.
No. Do something.
Oh.
That was the mantra because, hey, Rice is down. You don't have enough at the receiver position. And no, we were never going to get Adams, but they wanted Cooper. They thought that would have been the best fit. Now, this is Jay telling me this is what the fan base was saying. And then I went through Chiefs Twitter, and, yeah, there seemed to be a little bit of that. What do you think Binkley's response was? This Chiefs offense is so complicated that really to bring in somebody from the outside at this point, we only need people that – I'm like, Jay.
Good. Get MVS back. He's out there.
Exactly. That's what I told him. I'm like, here you go. You can
MVS.
have him back, number one. And I'm like, and Jay, by the way, Kadarius Toney wasn't in the system. You could go back to Kelvin Benjamin. You brought in Kelvin Benjamin. Okay, so there's been other instances where the Chiefs went and got a wide receiver. The Bills moved faster than you on this. That's just a fact. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's funny. Yeah, go ahead and re-sign MVS. He's out there. And I'm saying this, and of course the Bills and the Chiefs will meet in the postseason, and
there
MVS
will be
there,
yeah,
and he'll embarrass us, and that's just our lot in life. It'll be MVS or it'll be Xavier Worthy, just absolutely going deep on the Bills, and we won't have any answer for. But so that was their take. Their take is that the Chiefs didn't move fast enough. They wanted a guy like Cooper. Given all of the injuries that they have. But you know what? It's a weird thing that, we talk about the arrogance of some of these NFL teams and NFL GMs. We certainly talk about it with the Bills from time to time, but I think the Chiefs do have the most arrogance. The idea that we've won the Super Bowl, we're going for our third straight. Andy Reid is going to go down as the best of all time, the most winningest coach of all time. He's going to be right up there with Belichick, with Walsh, with all of the guys. He already is, in my opinion. And you have the best quarterback in the league. What do you need to add somebody, a 30-year-old wide receiver? What do you need to add him for? You don't need to add him. We're fine. We're going to be okay. Next man up really is next man up. It
was kind of like New England was for a lot of years, was it not? Like they would be like, wait a second, we're cutting this veteran. It's fine. We're going to – so you do get that arrogance with success and kind of feeding into it. I kind of rolled my eyes, to be honest. Like, okay, you're going to bring in Kareem Hunt. Okay, good luck with that. Well,
they are getting Clyde Edwards-Helaire back for what that's worth. He was moved up to their active roster in advance of this matchup against San Francisco this weekend. I don't know if that makes a whole lot of difference, if that's a massive upgrade from what they have in Kareem Hunt. And of course, Juju Smith-Schuster going off against the Saints is something to monitor as well. Like, they just resuscitated this guy's career, and maybe that continues here through the course of the rest of the season, just out of necessity because you don't have anybody else to really throw the ball to. Oh, no, by the way, you do still have Kelsey. Kelsey having beers with his girlfriend, during the bye week. I can't be critical of that because it's your bye week and it's your time off and do what you want to do, but it doesn't help fight the narrative that Kelsey came into the season out of shape or a little bit hungover from an off season of just epic partying with the most famous person in the world.
Listen, I'm not going to fault him for going out to a game with his girlfriend, but to your point, there is an optics thing to this. And funny, like, people in Cleveland are upset about that. He's from Cleveland. Why wasn't he wearing a Guardians cap?
Fraud. Well, it's these Kelsey boys. I got to tell you, they're chameleons. I mean, do we not love Jason Kelsey wearing the Buffalo hat and the Fred Flintstone costume on Monday night?
Of course.
Playing to the crowd and doing the bowling ball shots. The guy's not loyal to the Buffalo Bills. He's a Philadelphia Eagles guy.
So that's what Binkley, of course, asked me about. I was like, why did you accept Kelsey? And I explained to him, well, we just have low self-esteem, Jay. If you tell us you love us and you have to say is Buffalo, in our case, Rochester. Yeah, we love you. Yeah.
Massive case of insecurity. Yeah. All you have to do is make sure we have a pulse, and we'll fall in love with you. That's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll talk about not just the pro football action. We'll also get into college football with PJ Glasser. He's stopping by the sports bar here. We'll get some winners in about 10 minutes or so. You can join us anytime at 866-4326. We'll also give away some free tickets later this afternoon to see Disturbed and Daughtry at KeyBank Center. That's coming up Friday, April 4th. Your tickets for that show go on sale this Friday, 10 a.m. at livenation.com. You can win them before you buy them. here on the Fan Rochester before 6 o'clock. Keep listening for those. We appreciate you stopping by and listening in this free-to-download Odyssey app on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. And our stream is up as well. You can watch the Sports Bar on our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe while you're there. That's The Fan Rochester on YouTube, also on Twitch at The Fan Rochester.
Yeah, so Sean McDermott speaking, well, just within the last hour here. So normally we do the McDermott Lives, but since they're coming off the Monday night game, I think this is smart. Take your foot off the pedal. Do you really need the full practice on Wednesday? The answer is no. So today for the Bills, just a walkthrough, which means we're not going to learn a heck of a lot. You'll have to wait till tomorrow to just kind of decipher, all right, are we going to have a chance to see James Cook? What about Ed Oliver? What about these defenders? Were there any setbacks? Full practice tomorrow with that. And what about Amari Cooper? This cracks me up. Okay, so Amari Cooper gets the call, ring, ring, you've been traded. Okay, so he's in Cleveland. He drove last night.
Great. I love it.
You realize, like, wait a second, that's not that far a drive.
It's
That's
like
only
a 2-hour drive for them, right?
That's two and a half. Yeah,
not bad at all. Yeah, I love it, and I can't remember who was sharing it, but I don't follow Amari Cooper on Instagram, but I think his quote on Instagram was "move or rust." Yeah, I kind of dig that, and if that's the mindset and the mentality that he has coming in, and he's a motivated player, then we can forget about what we've seen out of him as far as the lack of production the first 6 weeks and believe that he's coming in motivated and ready to help win a title here in Buffalo. So still unknown as to whether or not Cooper will be on the field against the Titans on Sunday, as Sean McDermott making it clear that he just wants to make sure he's in and he's onboarded. And when he uses the term onboarding, I just think corporate. I just think, oh, what a corporate word. I mean, like, I know that when you hire somebody new, you have to onboard them, but to hear about a football player being onboarded, it's like, okay, well, he's being onboarded, I guess.
Okay.
Got to learn the terminology and learn, the offense.
Can he learn? Can he learn 5 plays this week? Because honestly, you're taking the spot of MVS. So it can't be that hard. You don't need Cooper to come in and get 10 targets. But you know what? Can you run this route here and this route there? There should be some packages. Like if you don't see Amari Cooper on the field this week, he's healthy. What are you doing? Heck, the Jets are going to – I thought Devontae Adams was hurt danger.
No, you know what? I think what it was that hamstring. It just must have healed once it got out of that dry desert air. I think getting out of the dry desert air, that's probably good for your hammies. And Devontae Adams is expected to go on Sunday night when the Jets take on the Steelers. Kind of funny how that works in terms of that injury. I mean, huge exaggerated air quotes.
Kind of funny how life works here, too, like in terms of active yardage and receiving. Cooper, the guy right ahead of him, Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
Are we going to be comparing these two?
How do you compare a guy who might only be here for just over half a season versus a guy who will go down as one of the best in Bills history?
Diggs' best years were in Buffalo. Cooper is at the downside, so that is your point. But why do we assume that, hey, Cooper is going to go walk out the door? I mean, if it goes well this year, Brandon Beane's going to be on the phone, and you're going to have Diggs amongst others. There's going to be other receivers on the market this year, so I would think that maybe at least you're sitting down with Cooper and seeing if you can hammer something out.
You give him a number that you believe he's worth, and he will want a number, I guarantee you, will want a number that is higher than what the Bills think he's worth. I think if you're Brandon Beane and you're the Bills, in terms of addressing wide receiver long-term, you did that with Keon Coleman in the second round, and I think you do it again in an early round next year at the draft. You get younger at that position, and you don't fall victim to what a lot of teams have to fall to, which is overpaying for production at a skill position, whether it's running back or wide receiver.
Well, I think what you do is, because if I'm going to use the Diggs parallel, they're the same age, right? And Diggs is also going to be a free agent. I would think that would Diggs get more interest on the open market? Yes.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
So as soon as Diggs signs somewhere, that's where you enter. And you weren't going to – hey, we weren't going to pay Steph what he wanted. That's why we traded him. I'm doing my Brandon Beane impression, but we'd like to have it. Listen. Hearing Jerry Jones say "listen," I'm like, no, that's Brandon Beane's word.
No, it's a power move. That's just a power move that people in power like to use to be more emphatic with what they want to say. Like, I'm going to tell you something, and you better listen. So listen. I can fire you, and I can take my business elsewhere. This is basically what he was telling our brother in there at 105.3 The Fan in Dallas yesterday.
I think when we're doing our high school game this week, Danger, like I always like to give those little hat tips to the sports bar listener. Like if, hey, it's going to be 1st and 10 at the 9. It can't be that way. But like if you just say like something like if I just emphasize 9.
2nd and 9.
2nd and 9
times.
Or if I want to make a point to you in the broadcast, can I pull that power from Danger? Listen.
Yeah.
Listen.
Now,
I think
now that you mention it, I wonder if that's what like Collinsworth does. Like maybe he has code with his family. Like, hey, every time I say here's a guy, I want you to hear me say I love you. That like maybe that's what his code is. You know, like to somebody special. Like I'm just gonna say it so many times that you're gonna understand that I'm at the game physically, but I'm really thinking about you. Here's a guy really means I love you. I'm thinking about you. Maybe that's what it is.
I think that's just a crutch he has.
Okay, well, it could just be a crutch. Could just be a crutch. All right, let's get to PJ Glasser. He is the host of BetQL's Send It In. You can hear it on the free-to-download Odyssey app. You can find it on YouTube. It's a great show. It's a half an hour. It's easily digestible. It moves fast, and it gives you winners. We'll get PJ's best bets for college and pro football this weekend next on The Fan.
FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
What is smart? At RG&E, smart is a meter that reads itself and automatically submits your use to us, letting you breathe easy. Find out why smart is easy at rge.com/smart meters.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott talking about his new wide receiver.
Pleasant, pro, he's a grown man. I mean, he's been in the league 10 years now, and he's seen a lot of things, a couple different teams, and he's experienced the ebbs and flows like we all do of the NFL, and like I said, we're happy to have him.
McDermott adding that Amari Cooper, no decision has been made whether or not he will play against the Titans. Cooper, by the way, driving from Cleveland to Buffalo last night following the trade. We'll get the thoughts of PJ Glasser, host of Send It In on the BetQL Network. He joins us next year in the Sports Bar. Today for the Bills, just being a walkthrough. Tomorrow, full practice. We should have a better idea tomorrow for the progress of James Cook and Ed Oliver. Mets and Dodgers tonight. Citi Field, it's Game 3. Luis Severino against Walker Buehler. We've got Sabres hockey tonight. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. The Fan, Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
All right, we're joined now by the host of Send It In, an Odyssey sports betting insider, PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. And PJ, it's always great to have you on. It's great to get some winners out of you as we talk every week about your best bets in college and in pro football. And once again, this weekend, we have another unbelievable slate of games on Saturday to look forward to, including Texas and Georgia. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, guys. Great week of football. I know we were all excited for the college slate last week. Guys, it might even be better this week. Like, the games are really good. I know we're going to talk some NFL, too. Bunch of great NFL games. So, great week of football. Georgia, Texas, I think is going to be awesome. It's kind of crazy where this line is headed, guys. Texas early in the week, they reopened as 3.5-point favorites, and then maybe about an hour and a half ago, a group came in to hit Texas. They're all the way up to 5 now against Georgia. So a lot of people like this Texas team. I understand why they've looked really good. My thing is just Texas hasn't played anybody yet. You know, they haven't played an offense that can throw the football. You look at their 2 wins over Power 4 opponents. Michigan had Davis Warren and Alex Orji starting at quarterback. Both of those guys have been benched ever since. They're going with Seth Tuttle now because they can't throw. And then Oklahoma last week were without their top 5 receivers. Their O-line was banged up. Their quarterback was making his second career start. So Texas is good. My thing is we just really don't know how good they are. Georgia, we know, has played people. I mean, they played Clemson. They played Bama. They played Kentucky. They're battle-tested. And, guys, you know, when you get a team like Georgia, this is the first time they're an underdog in their last 50 games. Wow. When you get a team like that's not used to being an underdog, it just feels like those teams, players, whether it's like a Mahomes, whether it's a Nick Saban, when they're in their roles, it tends to bring the best out of them. So I do like Georgia this week plus the points, and I take a shot with them on the money line as well. It feels like a lot of people are down on Georgia, and when we're down on a team like Georgia, that's when I tend to like to buy in.
Yeah, PJ Glasser, your host of Send It In. That's not the only matchup, certainly, this week, although that is the best maybe. We've got Alabama and Tennessee, and Alabama 2 weeks ago getting shocked by Vanderbilt, and you figured, last week they won, but it wasn't all that convincing over South Carolina. So here are the Crimson Tide. How do you like this week against Tennessee? How do you view this matchup, PJ?
So, guys, as you know, I'm an Alabama grad. So me and my buddies, you know, before the season starts, we all talk about our predictions and how we think the season's going to play out. And I thought that Bama would always lose this game, right? I was going back and forth on certain games. The Georgia game, LSU coming up in a couple weeks. Maybe they'd have a tough game at home against like a Missouri or somebody like that. But I always thought they would lose this game to Tennessee. Now that we're here, though, I kind of like Bama in the game for a couple reasons. The first one being Kellen DeBoer showed us last year at Washington, and now he showed us at Bama through his first 6 games that he just plays to the level of his competition. Like, that's what his teams do. Washington was undefeated last year going into the national championship game against Michigan, guys. But up until that, they had played 10 straight games that were decided by 10 points or less. Didn't matter whether it was a top 5 matchup, whether it was an unranked team. His Washington team always played to the level of their competition. And now you're seeing that with Bama this year, right? Obviously looked good against Georgia. And then the last 2 games against Vandy and South Carolina, they played down to those 2 teams. The thing, though, that people aren't talking about enough is just how good DeBoer is in big games, right? When you get these heavyweight matchups, these top 10 showdowns, he's excellent in those games. He was 6-1 last year in ranked matchups. He beat Dan Lanning twice. He beat Sark. And now, obviously, we saw him beat Kirby Smart this year. So I think Bama and DeBoer, they play to the level of their competition. I expect them to be good against Tennessee this week. And, guys, also, like, Tennessee, I think stylistically doesn't match up well with Bama. Vandy and South Carolina, I think, gave them so much issue because they're teams that want to drain the clock, right? They don't hike it until there's 2 or 3 left on the play clock. They want to go on 15, 16-minute drives, keep Bama's defense on the field. Tennessee only knows one speed. They just want to go hyper fast. And I actually think the tempo is going to help Bama to get their offense on the field as much as possible. That's what they want. So anything under 3 or 3, I like the Tide. If this starts going to 3.5, I'd stay off, but I like Bama to win the game.
All right, LSU, Arkansas. We got another SEC matchup here to pay attention to. What do we make of what's become of LSU and Arkansas season so far?
Upset of the week, guys. I like Arkansas +3. Horrible spot for LSU coming off the overtime win against Ole Miss. The fans stormed the field. Their next 2 games after this are at A&M and home against Alabama. And all you got in between this is a trip to Fayetteville. Arkansas, nobody's talking about it, guys. This team should be undefeated. They gave away a game early in the season to Oklahoma State. They lost to 4 to Texas A&M, a game they very easily could have won. And then, of course, they had the upset against Tennessee at home. They're coming off a bye week. So I really like Arkansas. Their quarterback, Taylon Green's playing really well this year. Their defense has been excellent so far. Arkansas is a good team, and their full attention is going to be on LSU, where I don't know what kind of Tigers team we're going to get coming off that emotional win at Ole Miss and the games they have coming up on deck. So definitely take Arkansas. You're getting the key number of 3. I'd take some money line as well, too, guys. I think Arkansas wins.
PJ, the one matchup I'm going to give you here where I hop inside the mind of PJ Glasser. Tell me I'm right here, all right? USC and Maryland. Also, wait a second. This is one of those new rivalries. Even it's so strange, right? USC has to go across the country. They're coming off an emotional loss to Penn State. Maryland hasn't been all that good. They just got smacked by Northwestern. So Maryland, USC, the Trojans giving 7.5. PJ, if I had to guess, you're going to say that's too many points here. What does the real PJ Glasser have to say?
Gene, you would be correct. You know me well after all these hits that I've been doing. It's just, right? I mean, guys, like USC, a brutal loss to Penn State last week. We were on the Trojans. They covered the spread for us. I thought we'd get a great performance out of them. We certainly did. They were up 2 touchdowns at halftime. Should have won the game outright. Just another brutal loss for Lincoln Riley and USC, right? Now they got to get on a plane. They got to travel across the country. We talked about last week how bad Big Ten teams have been doing that of having to travel where the time change is 2 or more hours, right? And obviously USC's got a 3-hour time change this week. And Maryland, guys, Mike Locksley, their head coach, you know I live in the area. The fan base is fed up. Coming off a bye week, you're 10-point favorites. You lose by 20 at home to Northwestern. Like, it's the same year. It's the same season every year for the Terps. They're great in September, and then you get into conference play in October and November. The wheels just fall off the bus. So Locksley has to win this game. If he wants any chance of saving his job, he's got to win. So I just love when we're getting a team like this that's desperate. They're not looking to cover. They're looking for the upset. And USC, I think, still reeling a little bit from giving away that game against Penn State. So give me the Terps plus the points, and maybe sprinkle a little money line as well.
All right, let's shift gears to the NFL's slate of games here coming up. Week 7 gets underway tomorrow night. But let's start with with the game that we're spending the most time talking about here on our show here in the Sports Bar, PJ, and that's the Bills back in the 1 o'clock slot, back at home after a 3-game road trip, taking on the Titans. And right now, depending on where you're looking, favored by as many as 9.5. I have a feeling you're going to say that's too many points to give the Titans.
Yeah, if I were to bet this game, I would take Tennessee. I don't know if I can pull the trigger, though, because of Will Levis, guys. I mean, he is bad. I know we talk about, like, Deshaun Watson and some of these other quarterbacks, man. Will Levis, it's painful watching him. I bet the Titans a lot this season. But, it's just, I mean, you guys know, like, think about how many big games the Bills have had to play to start their season. They've had 4 primetime games already. They had to play the Thursday night game against the Dolphins, the Sunday night game against the Ravens, the Monday night game against the Jags and the Jets. I mean, they've had to get up for game after game. They're coming off of a 3-game road trip, and now you got to play a 1 o'clock CBS game in a sleepy spot against maybe the worst quarterback in the NFL and Will Levis. So, I mean, if I had to bet the game, I'd bet Tennessee. Like, we know how well these big dogs have been doing. I think Buffalo wins, but, certainly they have not looked like the same team the last 3-4 weeks that we saw in the first 2 weeks. I think the Titans can hang around. So, yeah, if I had to bet it, I'd take the points. But, man, with Will Levis starting at quarterback, I can't tell you guys definitively that it's like one of my favorite bets.
I look, BJ, the word sleepy, though, I do think the Bills get a big bounce being back at home after having to go here and there and everywhere. I don't think they overlook this opponent. If it were kind of a back-to-back, perhaps there's going to be some other games on the Bills' schedule. Maybe, perhaps the Colts game in a few weeks in Indy could be one of those. Heck, maybe even the Dolphins 2.0 if Tua comes back. But I don't know, man. I just think that with with how this team has had to go everywhere, the fact that they haven't played a Sunday home game, this is what people in Western New York like, PJ, the Sunday 1 o'clock game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, Gene. And, obviously with the Amari Cooper trade, I think that'll have them all fired up as well, trying to get him going in the offense. It's really, that's what it's all about. It's all about the Bills. I mean, if they show up and they treat this game with the energy that they had on Monday against the Jets, like, they're going to win and they're going to cover. If they don't take Tennessee seriously, then the Titans are going to keep this game close. So that's why the spread is as big as it is. And that's the risk that you take.
Yeah.
If you like Buffalo, then obviously you think they're going to show up. If you like Tennessee, then you're banking on the Bills being sloppy. So, I mean, you guys know 9's a ton of points in the NFL. These dogs have been doing so well. It's a fair point, Gene. I would lean Tennessee, though. Look, maybe the Bills in a teaser, right? Teasing down to -3, honestly, that might be the way to go in the game.
Yeah.
PJ, we know that you have a lot of stats, and some of these stats are kind of like hidden gems, and you'll share them with us, and they'll blow our minds, and they end up usually coming to fruition. I don't feel like this is a hidden stat, but it is noteworthy when the Chiefs play the Niners in a rematch of the Super Bowl this weekend. That's Andy Reid being 21-4 out of the bye week, the best in NFL history, and the Niners this weekend. Which direction are you leaning in this one?
I mean, not only are we getting Andy Reid off a bye danger, we're getting Mahomes as an underdog too, and he's 11-1-1 against the spread. So, I mean, look, I know a lot of people are going to see the Chiefs as underdogs and immediately bet the Chiefs, and it's like, why are the Niners favored? McCaffrey's still not playing. They've been up and down this season. I think maybe people will use the Super Bowl revenge angle, but I mean, like you said, Andy Reid off a bye, Mahomes is an underdog. Like, even if we just got one of those things, I'd be on Kansas City. But the fact we're getting both of them, I'll take the Chiefs. I think what's scary about Kansas City, guys, is they've been winning all these games and have been playing like their C game, right? So off of a bye now, get a little bit healthier, obviously get amped up knowing that you got to play another one of the best teams in the NFL in San Francisco. I like the Chiefs on Sunday.
Let's talk about Jordan Love for a second. Somebody that, he's hurt. He's gone for the year. No, he's back. And not only is he back, I'm sure you've seen this stat too, that he's only one of 10 quarterbacks in NFL history to have a multiple TD streak of 10 games. And here he is going for number 11 in a game where we expect a lot of points. From a fantasy perspective, this is enticing. The line's also a little fishy. At least I think it is, PJ. You tell me. Because I would think the Packers only giving 3 at home against the Texans. Yes, the Texans are a good team, certainly, but it looks too enticing. So how do you view this matchup here, Houston at Green Bay?
I do like Green Bay, actually, Gene. I think that they're ascending right now. You know, they're starting to get healthy. Last week against Arizona, I mean, they won that game by 3 scores, guys. It really wasn't even that close. I mean, they dominated. Love looked great. Defense is forcing turnovers. They're healthy now. Love's back to himself. The receiving core is back. Defense is playing well. And, you know, Houston's still without Nico Collins. We were making a big deal of that last week heading into the New England game, thinking that could be a little bit of a letdown for Houston. They score 40 points. They look great. Not as much talk this week, but I think in a game where you're going to need to score, missing Nico Collins is what's going to hurt Houston. You know, they were fortunate that New England had 4 turnovers last week to really set up some easy scoring drives for them to get going. Green Bay's not going to do that this week. So anything under 3, I actually do like Green Bay, 2.5, 3 points. It's going to be a good game. Houston is a team I've been looking to fade, though, here recently because they've been winning, but they just haven't been convincing. Before last week, they were 4-1 with a score differential of -4. And you think about the NFC North, I mean, how good that division has been. Chicago played them tough. They covered the spread, only lost by 6. And then Minnesota blew the doors off of Houston. So now they got to go up against another NFC North team in Green Bay on the road. I like the Packers.
All right, this one I'm genuinely curious to see which direction you're leaning, PJ, because it's a game that I don't think anybody's really paying attention to, but it is a compelling matchup. And one of the teams that really is kind of like in control of their division. The Falcons at home, they're 3-point favorites with Seattle coming in.
It's going to be a really good game. I like the over. That's my favorite bet. If you guys go back and look at Geno Smith's history when he's indoors, when he's in a dome, it's ridiculous. I mean, he puts up like 30 points a game consistently. Look at what he did on Monday night a couple weeks ago against Detroit. Like, Geno indoors is elite, and that Seattle defense has been struggling recently. The last 3 games during this losing streak, Atlanta's offense is starting to get rolling. So the over's the bet I like, and I do like Seattle plus the 3 as well. A good buy low on the Seahawks, right? They've dropped 3 straight, but they're getting an extended week playing on Thursday against the Niners. Historically, Seattle's been great on the East Coast. Like, I feel like those NFC West teams, guys, that travel to the Eastern time zone usually play really well. So Geno indoors, good buy low spot in Seattle, dropping 3 in a row. I think they're going to be tough against Atlanta. So if you can grab the 3, take Seattle. I like the over as well. I think it's going to be a shootout.
Hey, PJ, while you're talking about that game, just because you're mentioning how you like the over and you like the Seahawks with the points, is this a game that's a candidate to middle? Could you do a 3-leg same-game parlay here and maybe like middle this game out a little bit if you mess around with the point spread?
I think you definitely could. I always like looking for that stuff. Yeah, I think the over, it keeps climbing, so just be careful. I think as long as it's under 52, should be good. It opened 49.5. Now it's up to 51. Anything under 52 is good. The +3 with Seattle's good. So, yeah, I mean, if you try and get the middle, try and get a parlay and correlate some different things, I think that's a great game to do it. Anytime you have an over game, which I think we're going to get, I think parlays are great. Add some props in there, anytime touchdowns. This is the kind of game for all the people out there who have their fantasy teams. If you have guys on Seattle or Atlanta on your roster, I think it'd be a good week to start them.
PJ, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask if you had a thought tonight on Game 3 of the NLCS. I mean, for the New York Mets and their starting pitcher, how could you go wrong tonight?
Gino, I like Luis Severino and the Mets tonight on the money line. I think they get the job done. Guys, the bet is in Game 4. I think it's going to be 2-2, and then headed into Game 5. Whoever wins tonight, I like the other team in Game 4, but I like the Mets. I thought they would bounce back in Game 2 because that's what they've done the whole postseason, and they did. And Citi Field, Gene, as you know, is going to be on fire tonight. It's going to be rocking. I think Sevy pitches well. I like the Mets, -105.
Okay, so you go Mets tonight for Game 3. Game 4, you take the opposite. You go with the Dodgers, which sets up a 2-2 series for Game 5. And which direction are you leaning Game 5?
I think we're going Mets. Guys, I think we're getting a Subway World Series, which is going to be crazy like we did back in 2000.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I think that's the way we're headed. All New York World Series.
PJ Glasser. If you want more of his content, PJ, tell everybody about Send It In.
1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, guys, every Monday through Friday. You can check out Send It In. It's 30 minutes, fast-paced. We go through a little bit of everything. You can watch us on twitch.tv/BetQL, YouTube/Odyssey Sports as well. So, make sure you check it out, tune in. Great time of year, guys. I mean, we were talking about it last week. Like October, there's so much to talk about. And it's been awesome. So make sure you can tune in 1 p.m. Eastern Time every Monday through Friday.
He is the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports betting insider PJ Glasser. Buddy, thanks for the time as always. Talk to you again next week.
Absolutely. Thanks, fellas. Take care.
Thanks, PJ.
Insider calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
About that possible Subway series, they're doing the projections for ticket prices on the secondary market. If it's the Yankees, that would be 4 times the amount they would project as opposed to the Guardians. So Guardians, Dodgers, Guardians, Mets. Look, if you're a Met fan, yeah, it'd be really a lot of fun to have a Subway series. But also, if you're a Met fan, it might be a little more affordable if you wanted to.
So it's the difference of whether or not you want to be see a blue collar World Series or a white collar World Series, right? I mean, like the corporate guys and the billionaires out there, the millionaires that you know in your life, maybe can swing tickets for a Yankees World Series. But if the Guardians make it, your bank account probably enjoys that a little bit more.
Danger, you somehow got in Guardians Cubs. Now I would have thought everybody in that. Well, you've got your connections for that.
I have some connections, and I have different ins that can get me the price that I can afford.
So for anybody that's thinking, hey, I want to go down there to see the Yankees in the ALCS, what was that experience like being an opposing fan in a playoff game in Cleveland?
It's funny. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Yankee fans would travel just as well as Cub fans did. So you really kind of take over the ballpark. I mean, I was there for Game 6 of the 2016 World Series, and I didn't feel intimidated, worried, nothing. I mean, Cleveland fans were there, obviously, but, and they were up in the series, but there were so many Cubs fans there, that it really didn't feel like there was a home field advantage. It felt like a neutral site.
Maybe part of it too was like, who hates the Cubs?
Right.
We were
there to watch
Cubs,
history, hopefully watch history. And at the time, if I remember correctly, the Cubs needed that one. They were down 3-2 in that series, and they needed that win in Game 6.
Right.
And they blew the doors off of the then Indians, right? They were still the Indians.
They were still the Indians, and you could have gone to Game 7, but you came back.
Well, Game 7 was the following night. I gave Rex Ryan my tickets. I think he took the bus and drove to Cleveland.
Can we just pause? The current head coach of the Buffalo Bills was out past midnight. I don't know. Like, the Rex Ryan experience is like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing, but, like, you're basically the CEO of a team, and yeah, I'm going to go watch.
We wanted to go watch the Game 7 of the World Series. It's a short drive. Somebody probably pitched up. You know what it was? It was probably Wales. Wales was probably like, hey, it's an easy drive. Let's go. Let's all go. Let's jump in the limo bus and let's go to Game 7. What do you say? We got an in. Let's go.
I'm not getting ahead of myself, by the way, when it comes to the Mets. I'm the guy. And I said this on the air when we got back from Labor Day. When you and I were in the car driving back from Syracuse.
You thought the guy was crazy.
I thought the guy was crazy on WFAN. I'm going to have to look up who actually that host was.
He was going on and on and on. And this is at the very beginning of September. The Mets are going to make the World Series. The Mets are going to win the World Series. They have this is a team of destiny.
What was my reaction?
You're like, this guy's a quack.
Yeah,
This guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
What are you talking about?
And I'm trying to remember the points he was making that maybe when you look at it now in retrospect, God, he was right? He was right? Was he right all along? Is that really what this team is? I like them tonight too. I think that'll be fun at Citi Field. It's a different atmosphere. It's a fun atmosphere. I saw the billboard that they posted. I think they posted it in Times Square. And I know I bag on you and on Mets fans an awful lot, and I call you social misfits and all this other stuff. But when I saw this, I'm like, I can't be mad at this. This is just fun. It's just so much fun, and it was the.
I haven't seen this. What is it?
It was a billboard that basically said it wasn't. I'm paraphrasing. It wasn't fate. It wasn't karma. It was Grimace, and it's a picture of Grimace wearing the Mets hat on the mound, throwing out the first pitch. And it was an ad for McDonald's. It was, McDonald's taking credit for the Mets being in the ALCS. It was a fun billboard. I saw it. I'm like, all right, if that's true, if that's in Times Square, wherever that picture is, I'm like, that's fun. I can't really be angry.
I will keep my word, Danger. If somehow the Mets make the World Series, I haven't dressed up for Halloween since I did it once in college. I will come in as Grimace that day.
I love it. What a treat for anybody watching the live stream on our YouTube channel at the Fan Rochester.
Weird.
Yeah, the billboard in Times Square is a McDonald's billboard, and it's a picture of Grimace with his baseball mitt and his Mets hat, and it just says, "It wasn't luck, it wasn't fate, it was Grimace." It's perfect. It's a great billboard. It's a great campaign, and it's fun. I kind of want to see that happen. That would be a lot of fun if it was to end up being a Subway Series and the Mets were in there. That would be quite the story. Would have to find out who that FAN host was that was making us laugh at the beginning of September. Now we're like, ooh, God, he was kind of onto something. Wow. We'll take a break here and come back. We'll have Spencer German from our Odyssey Sports sister station, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, stopping by in a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about what the Bills are getting in Amari Cooper. We'll talk a little bit about what's going on in Cleveland with not just the Browns, more specifically. Let's talk about the Guardians and the Yankees in that series. And a couple more things to get to here in a little bit, including Tom Brady getting a unanimous vote by the NFL's owners to become a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders. It's time for the charade to end. It's time to make a decision if you're Tom Brady.
Can you recover if Buck and Aikman are pointing at you and laughing at you, basically? It is one of the final word here, I guess, on Monday Night Football, and we had so much yesterday, but it is something that certainly is a concern moving forward.
And we're celebrating an anniversary today, or I'm celebrating an anniversary today. 18 years ago, 18-year anniversary of a very, very special moment in my fandom of my favorite team, and I will explain what that is and why today is significant. That's all coming up next. Join us anytime at 866-4326. We're at the Fan Rochester on X as well.
You're listening. 9BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott says there's been no decision whether or not Amari Cooper will play this weekend. Cooper, by the way, will be wearing number 18 with his new team. Steve Tasker today on One Bills Live on getting Cooper involved.
I say you try and hit him in the mouth right out of the gate. The first 3 shots of the game are to Amari Cooper. You got to target him early and often to get him in the mindset, not only your offense and Josh and all that, but it's also the Titan defense, which is number 1 in the league. Get him on their menu quick, and then let them think about that while you're doing your regular offense.
Today being just a walkthrough for the Bills. Tomorrow, full practice. We should have a better idea tomorrow as to the status for James Cook and Ed Oliver. Mets and Dodgers tonight. It's Game 3 at Citi Field. Luis Severino against Walker Buehler. 7 o'clock, our coverage tonight for the Sabres. They're in Pittsburgh. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Amari Cooper having more of an impact for the Buffalo Bills than Devontae Adams will have for the New York Jets.
Sign me up for that. This is a year of Josh Allen's prime. We want to get him in here and get him up to speed on our terminology and our system and see how he fits in.
He is averaging his highest amount of separation since 2018, so he is still a great deep threat.
The Bills get all the production without the drama.
He still got it. I mean, the guys are playing at a high level.
Mike Danger.
Another reason to feel optimistic about the Bills.
Yeah. Gene Battaglia.
You're 4-2. You get a winnable game coming up this week. You got to be loving life if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. Now that we have this news that Amari Cooper is a Buffalo Bill, give me the scenario where Josh Allen is healthy and the Bills don't win the division.
I can't think of one.
No.
Let's go Mets. Go Bills.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We go to Cleveland in about 20 minutes. We'll check in with our buddy Spencer German from our Odyssey Sports sister station, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Talk some Guardians, but also talk about what the Bills have traded for in wide receiver Amari Cooper, who's in Buffalo with the team. Walk through today, and still no real determination as to whether or not he'll play on Sunday, how much they'll use him on Sunday. I think McDermott saying that today is because he has to say that today. He's going to be out there on Sunday, even if it's just for a handful of plays. And I love Tasker's take that you want to get him involved early. This is a good Tennessee defense. Their front is heavy, and you're going to have to be physical. I want to see Josh Allen get the ball out quick. And if you're doing that with Cooper, with Shakir, I think you have a chance on Sunday.
You know, you just make this game one-dimensional. I think it kind of goes along with what Tasker was mentioning. Is Will Levis really going to match Josh Allen point for point in this game? Really? Really that's going to happen? I love PJ. I disagree with him on this take. I think just kind of the sine wave for the Bills where it's up and it's down, and well, this was kind of a downtime, right, where you're getting clocked in Baltimore. You lose a tough one in Houston. It was an ugly night. You won with the Jets. You're back home. Plug into the energy. And when you make a move like this, just like how for the Jets it got everybody to sit up a little straight when you get the new coach, hey, we're making a big trade. We believe in you guys. Mm-hmm. That's what it said. And it's not like Marquez Valdez-Scantling was this guy, Danger, that, oh, he's gone. He's out of the locker room. I'm kind of sad. No, I think that you're going to welcome him in. And, my gosh, even if you use him, to Tasker's point, I don't think you target him the first 3 times, but how many times do you target him this game? 5, 6, 7? I would think that would be a fair number.
Be great. We'll have the action for you, of course, coming up Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock kickoff, pregame coverage right after Italian Carousel. That's at 9 a.m. Coming up Sunday morning.
I'm checking the wire right now just to see if MVS cleared waivers. Or if the Chiefs actually put in a claim at this point.
If after your conversation last night with Binkley. I work with a girl named Binky at one of the other stations that I work with. Sorry, Jay. Sorry about that. I might just call him Jay Binky from now on. I imagine that's not out of the realm of possibility for the Chiefs. If you're a Chiefs fan and you're going, oh, man, we need to get somebody. Well, get somebody that you can bring in right away and who's familiar with all the pieces. That would be MVS. And Now, I'm saying that, and if that does come to fruition,
I'm just like,
there will be
here you
MVS
go.
in the playoffs making plays against the Bills, along with Xavier Worthy and all of the ghosts of the, these names of the Bill, Mahomes and MVS and Xavier Worthy. We've just handed the Chiefs all this talent that loves to rub our noses in it when we face them when it matters most. He says.
The Worthy conversation I'll listen to, but MVS, what did you see out of MVS?
Nothing. Nothing.
Nothing. There was one play at camp where you and I were both on the sideline, and it's a post pattern, and he splits the safeties, touchdown. Oh.
That's what he can do.
Then what? Then what happened?
That's what he can do, but that's never what you see him do. It's
the funny thing about this too, Danger. This, other than Matt Collins, closes the book up against the S against the wall phase of the Buffalo Bills wide receiving core, because nothing worked. Not Chase Claypool, not Quentin Cyphers, none of these guys. I guess KJ Hamler's still on the practice squad.
Yeah, but we talked to KJ Hamler. I get the sense he's a good guy to have around. Like, he's a good team guy. He's a I'll do whatever it takes kind of guy. I don't get that sense. I never got that sense from Claypool, a guy who literally quit on his team. And MVS, just bringing him in, I know that he and Josh Allen developed some kind of a rapport relationship early on, but I wasn't impressed with him at all through the course of the preseason, and was kind of surprised that he actually made the team, to be honest. I mean, we were saying all throughout training camp, is this guy even making the team? We don't think so.
Well, the one thing, too, is, and when we're out of camp, we are not allowed to really report on things before or after hours. However, now the camp is really kind of passed, 6:30 in the morning, Matt Collins is out on the turf field at Groundy Stadium doing his workouts, doing his stuff. That's why he was named the team captain, Danger. He's doing all the extra things, all the extra work. Think if you're a coach, think if you're a high school player, college player, that's what you want to do. And I'm not saying that MVS didn't do that, but I don't know if he did. I can tell you Matt Collins did.
Tom Brady is now a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, courtesy of a unanimous vote by the NFL's owners. I guess the NFL the owners want to make a statement like, hey, you too can own a small share of your favorite NFL franchise, and we'll let you in the club unanimously as long as we get, controlling, as long as we can continue to control. So with that in mind, now, can we end this publicity stunt by Fox? Because as an owner, Brady hasn't been able to get the kind of access, or won't get the kind of access granted to the impartial media members, and his lack of ability to fully prepare for each game he calls only magnifies what we all know. He's not very good in the booth. Greg Olsen was 10 times better than Brady, and I'm sure he'd jump at the opportunity to be back on Fox's A-team. I'll hear people say that Brady can kind of do whatever he wants because it's what he's done his whole career. Dare I say, Fox needs to be bold this offseason and make the decision for him. Do what NBC did with Drew Brees, cut ties after a season, let him enjoy the perks of NFL ownership. The Brady experiment needs to come to an end.
I'm going to disagree with you on one thing. Don't do it after the season. Do it now. No, I'm being honest, because if they're going to say, hey, you can't criticize the officials. All right, well, if you're in a game that you had Monday night, what does Tom Brady do? Is he just going to keep his mouth shut? Hey, you can't tamper. Where's the line when it comes to saying nice things on the air and tampering? If he gets a Houston Texan game and really says, boy, there is no better route runner than Steph Diggs in this league, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. Is that tampering, or is that just stating facts?
Yeah.
I mean, the NFL is going to find itself in a messy situation with Tom Brady when it comes to his mouth. He's going to say something, and knowing Brady, how much he loves his image so carefully. What's the word you say in FM radio? Curated. You curated image, meticulous about his image. This is not good for his image. It really isn't. Get him off the broadcast now and get us somebody like Greg Olsen, who's actually going to help viewers, help us understand the game a little bit better.
Yeah, I've seen enough, and I think that Olsen, this isn't a stretch to say that Olsen is just multiple times better than what Brady has been. Brady is on the A-team by name alone, and now an even bigger disservice being done to the viewers because as an owner, he won't have any access in his preparation process to any of the other teams. It's kind of a stunt at this point. It's a publicity stunt.
Well, the news from today, other than Amari Cooper out of Buffalo, we do have this nugget that, yep, they brought in more kickers, according to GM Brandon Beane. Just kind of look-see here. No word about the status of Tyler Bass, but look, you know things are going really bad when you have Joe Buck and Troy Aikman goofing on you.
Bass, no chance.
Wow.
That was just weird. I've seen better kicks than that on College Game Day. The heck was that? 3-point game.
Wow.
Just an absolute dunk from the free throw line. He shattered the backboard. Joe Buck shattered the backboard on Tyler Bass.
Some are saying that Quinn Williams actually might have got a hand on it. I've gone back. I can't
and I
say
hope
that.
so, because if he didn't, Buck is absolutely right. That was horrific. He's not wrong. You've seen better kicks on College Game Day than what Tyler Bass did with that kick.
Correct. But this isn't a one-off with Bass. It just isn't. And you really have to look for the solution. But, okay, what is the solution? The Bills have, right now, according to Spot Track, $2.2 million of cap space. And you need that space for practice squad elevations. Tyler Bass has a dead cap figure of 7.3. And there is only one solution. And this week it isn't the solution because I don't think you're going to need a Tyler Bass kick to beat the Titans, okay? But I honestly think you're going to have the wheel of kickers. No, listen, hear me out, Danger. Because you can sign guys to the practice squad. You get 3 elevations.
Yeah.
And do you really need KJ Hamler in the practice squad, or do you say, you know what, KJ, just keep yourself in shape? Then you elevate, and then Tyler Bass will be a game day inactive. I'm telling you, that's going to be the solution.
I don't think they're going to do it. It is a solution. It's a solution. You can manipulate it. You can do make them active for 3 games if you want to cherry pick which games you think you might need your kicker more than Tyler Bass. But you've heard Brandon Beane talk about Tyler Bass. He's not going to do this. He's going to completely wreck his kicker. It'll completely wreck him. It will end whatever is left of him. And all he's going to continue to say is, well, he needs to figure it out. We're worried about it. We need to keep working at it.
Okay, so we get to that point, though. There's 6 games left in the season. You haven't wrapped up the division. You have a few dome games coming up in Detroit and the Rams. Playoff games also on top of that.
I'll tell you what's a more likely scenario.
Okay.
Tyler Bass hamstring injury is a more likely scenario at some point this season. I'm not wishing an injury on Tyler Bass, and I hope you can read between the lines of what I'm saying here. I don't think Tyler Bass will have a hamstring injury, but I think Tyler Bass will have a hamstring injury at some point this season. I think that's more likely than the call-up. I think then you could say, oh, I mean, he's been battling and he's not ready to go or whatever. They can hide behind an injury to their kicker.
You can do that for a couple weeks, but how when they come sniffing around like, hey, how's that hamstring
Did
injury?
anybody come sniffing around Devontae Adams, who's a way more high-profile player in the NFL than the Buffalo Bills kicker? I think that's a more likely scenario than spinning the wheel of kicker and elevating guys from the practice squad.
Okay, you and I can find a common ground on this. I'm losing faith that Bass figures this out.
God, we didn't have faith in the preseason. I mean, he's completely broken. He needs to find that mojo. I don't know that he will. And I can guarantee you that if they do what you're proposing, it's over. I mean, he's done at the end of the year. He's not coming back, and he will be worthless for the rest of this year because his confidence will be completely shattered.
Oh, by the way, other teams do this. Like the Packers had a draft pick. They just cut him. I'm like, I noticed that from my fantasy. Yeah. Like Narveson. Nope, you're out. Brandon McManus was sitting there.
That creepy guy, Brandon McManus, is now the Packers kicker.
Yeah, what did he do?
He's a little bit of a creep.
All right.
Today is a special day for me. 18 years ago today, I can't believe it's 18 years already, I experienced one of the greatest moments in my fandom for my favorite team, and I'm wearing my Bears hat today as a commemorative nod to this game. Bringing it up because I know how revered these moments are if you're a fan. Everyone remembers the Bills comeback against the Oilers. Pats fans will always have 28-3. And I will always have this.
You know, I mean, we just the Bears are what we thought they were. They're what we thought they were. We played them in preseason. Who the hell takes a third game in the preseason like it's bull? We played them in the third game. Everybody played 3 quarters. The Bears are who we thought they were. And that's why we took the damn field. Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
Oh, God. You don't know how sweet that music is to my ears. Oh, I can't get enough. Just directly inject it into my vein. I went back, Gino, and I watched the truncated version of this game on YouTube.
So what happened that lead up to that point?
I can't describe to you how bad Rex Grossman and the Bears offense were that Monday night. We're regulated by the FCC after all. All of the Bears' points in that game against Arizona were scored on defense and on special teams. It was the kind of win that makes you believe anything is possible in any game at any time. The look of anger and disgust on Matt Leinert's face as he walked off the field at the end of the game, the absolute eruption that you just heard by the late Dennis Green, the coach of Arizona at the time, in the postgame. Every fan needs to have a list of these kind of games in their mental Rolodex. Happy anniversary to the Bears are who we thought they were.
God rest Dennis Green's soul.
And Dennis Green, by the way,
Green,
when I lived in Minnesota before I moved to Rochester, I remember being at a party in Minneapolis, and Dennis Green was at this party. And he was awesome. He was such a great dude. He was polite. He was everybody that wanted to take a picture with him. He would take a picture with him. He was conversational. He was just a regular dude. He was a really, really great guy. So, I wish it was another coach that had the meltdown. But I still, hearing Dennis Green lose his composure the way he did, because he normally wasn't like that, was, at that point, I'm like, whoa, that really tells you how significant that win was for the Bears that season and how much that loss cost Dennis Green and the Cardinals that season.
Yeah, to me, it's just so refreshing. Like, that's, everybody has a regulator on their mouth, and you hear Dennis Green in that raw emotion. Now, was that the year the Bears go on to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, they were undefeated going into that game.
Wow.
And everybody, the Bears travel well. When they're good, they travel well. You saw it Sunday morning in London. There's a lot of Bear fans in London. And much like the Steelers, much like the Packers, much like the Bills, they'll travel. And at that game in Arizona, with the team undefeated to start the season, there were a lot of Bear fans there. And I remember watching that game in my living room and being frustrated and elated at the same time. Like, it was such a roller coaster ride. I'm sharing it with my daughter. My daughter is now invested in the Bears because she went with me to Chicago for the Panthers game a couple of weeks ago. And I'm like, if you're going to be a Bear fan, you need to know the history. So she's already watched the 30 for 30 on the 85 Bears. And I've shared, Devin Hester's highlights and blah, blah, blah. And here, look at this game. Watch this. This is 18 years ago tonight. Look at this and tell me how significant that win was as they were on their way to a Super Bowl loss, unfortunately, against the Colts. But, man, what a memory. 18 years ago, Dennis Green absolutely losing his mind after the Bears absolutely steal one in the desert from the Cardinals.
Go ahead and crown their ass.
Oh, God, it was great. Punching the microphone, walking off. And then you had the handler.
Mark Dalton, in the background. From Arizona, oh.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, Matt Leinart is coming up next. Trying to, lighten the mood. It was so bad. Spencer German, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, our Odyssey Sports sister station, joins us next. We'll learn more about Amari Cooper coming in, and we'll talk some guards as well with German on The Fan.
update.
Head coach Sean McDermott says there's been no decision whether or not Amari Cooper will play coming up Sunday against the Titans. Cooper, by the way, will be wearing number 18 with his new team. McDermott on Cooper.
Pleasant, pro. He's a grown man. I mean, he's been in the league 10 years now, and he's seen a lot of things, a couple different teams, and he's experienced the ebbs and flows like we all do of the NFL. And like I said, we're happy to have him.
Today being just a walkthrough for the team. Full practice coming up tomorrow. We'll get the thoughts of Spencer German, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. He joins us next here in the Sports Bar. Mets and Dodgers, Citi Field tonight. It is Game 3, series tied at 1. Luis Severino going against Walker Buehler. Got Sabres hockey tonight as the Sabres begin a 3-game road trip. They're in Pittsburgh. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. Gene Battaglin, the sports leader. The Fan, Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Going to Cleveland next, checking in with our buddy Spencer German. You can hear him on our Odyssey Sports sister station, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Spencer, are you restricting yourself from talking Browns football this time of year? Is it all guards talk on The Fan, or are you putting everybody in a little bit of an unhealthy state by bringing up the Browns?
Yeah, I think we all are hoping the Guardians are a nice distraction from everything going on with the Browns right now, because it's kind of a mess. But obviously down 2-0 in the series, we might actually be talking Cavs here pretty soon if they don't turn it around coming up tomorrow. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, the guards are a nice distraction from everything that seems to be going wrong with the Browns right now.
A pick swap, a third up to a 6 or a 6 to a third. Was that enough to give away Amari Cooper, a player on an expiring contract?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think from the Browns standpoint, if Cooper had started the season playing better, I wonder if that value could have maybe been upwards of like a second-round pick. But I think like the rough start to the season maybe hindered that a little bit. I felt like the value was probably fine. Like, this is one of those trades I look at and I say, it seems pretty even across the board. The Bills are getting a guy on an expiring contract who's, rounded into his age 30 season. Not that he still can't play. I think he's actually going to do really, really well in Buffalo. But, I think from the Browns standpoint, it was kind of about let's start figuring out draft pick accumulation and sort of stockpiling some things, and a third rounder being sort of one of those day 2 picks is a valuable asset that you can use to maybe move up and down the draft board, or you could actually use that pick to help bolster this roster. Simply put, like, the Browns are sort of facing a transitional period, I think, coming up after this season. And so for them, I think it made a lot of sense. For the Bills, I think it made a lot of sense. And you do wonder, because Cooper was sort of looped in on some of these Brandon Ayuk trade rumors back in August. And I think obviously if you had come away with trading him then and gotten Brandon Ayuk on the back end, you're probably talking about the value being even higher in terms of what the Browns are able to get. But like I said, I just think like the game tape to start the year and the fact that he's now several games into his expiring contract maybe drops it down to a third a little bit.
Spencer, you know this. The secret to happiness in life is managing expectations. So while a lot of people are very excited about Amari coming in to be Buffalo Bills wide receiver for Josh Allen, I look at it like at minimum he's going to take some of the pressure off of the rest of the wide receivers. I don't know how much of what we should believe out of what we've seen out of Amari Cooper this season. ESPN Analytics have him rated as the single worst wide receiver in the NFL. He's tied for the league lead in drops. And we saw this player just last season with Joe Flacco explode down the stretch. So which Amari Cooper do you think the Buffalo Bills are getting, and how much of what we've seen out of him this year is actually due to Deshaun Watson throwing the football?
Yeah, so I think the point you kind of made at the end there in regards to how we looked with Joe Flacco is kind of the thing I keep going back to. Like, I have a hard time believing that just because he turned 30, 3-4 months ago over the summer, that all of a sudden, like, he's just not this good player anymore. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, when he's playing at his best, he, in my opinion, is, a fringe top 10 wide receiver in this league, and he kind of goes under the radar, I think, because He doesn't have that brash personality, that sort of out there personality that a lot of people associate with receivers. So he kind of keeps to himself and just kind of puts his head down and goes to work. And I think that's maybe hindered a little bit like where people rate him. So yeah, like, has he gotten off to a bad start this year? Of course. Like, when you're leading the league in drops, and some of them were bad drops this year. I mean, we saw it firsthand week after week where he was dropping them in key situations, and it was like, man, like, what's maybe the most egregious was the one against the Raiders a couple weeks ago where it just bounced off his hands and turns into an interception and kind of cost the Browns that game because they were driving down the field with a chance to score. But I think there's something to be said for a fresh start. Everywhere he's gone, when he's gotten a fresh start, he's generally thrived. It's a little bit different this year because he's getting traded mid-season, and so he's got to kind of get acclimated pretty quickly. But being a veteran guy, I don't know. Like, I think that there's a lot to be said for a guy who I don't want to be too long-winded here with my answer, but like, there were signs that he wasn't long for Cleveland, I think, dating back to the summer when he wanted a contract extension. The Browns clearly didn't want to give it to him, and all they kind of did was restructure the last year of his deal and guarantee him some money. Then he's linked into these Brandon Ayuk trade rumors, like we mentioned, and I think that kind of rubbed him the wrong way. And then he gets off to the slow start to the season. There was clearly a disconnect, I think, with him and Deshaun that we saw on full display this year. And even at times last year, they weren't always on the same page. They had some moments together and some games together where they played really well. But his best numbers came with Joe Flacco, obviously, under center. So I just think, like, it was maybe just a situation that had become too tenuous to fix. And I want to be clear, like, I don't mean that in a way where I think he was a cancer. I don't think in any ways he was disruptive in the locker room. All his teammates said today in the first reactions to this was that he showed up and went to work and was really close with guys and still interacting with guys and helping some of the younger guys on the team. So I don't think he was a problem in the locker room at all. I would not certainly classify this as that type of situation with Amari. I just think, like, there was the relationship between him and the team tarnished a little bit given everything that transpired since earlier this summer.
Well, I guess, true, if you're going back to the trade, I can understand that. I'm also kind of wondering, too, is this kind of in a way signaling, hey, we are going to be sellers at the trade deadline. We're still a few weeks away. The Browns didn't need to make this move yesterday. So what's being said right now? Are the Browns going to be sellers? And if so, who might be available?
Well, if you believe Kevin Stefanski, which usually he's just kind of blowing smoke up our you-know-whats when he just kind of comes out and gives the company line on things and doesn't really give much away. He's very Bill Belichickian in that way. But they say that they're still focused on winning. But I think all of us in the media, I think the team is smart enough to realize, like, what this type of trade means. And I understand, like, he wasn't playing, like we just kind of said, he wasn't playing amazing for the Browns where it was like, oh no, you're losing this star receiver, but it's still it's your number one receiver and a guy that was well respected in that locker room, a guy that they expected to be as he had been the last couple of years, a leader on this team. And so, yeah, like, I have a hard time just believing that this was done with the intention of, like, well, our goal is still to win. I mean, think about it. Like, when the Bills this past offseason traded Stephon Diggs, the narrative around this team was for you guys was, well, hey, this is maybe kind of a take a step back here and sort of retool around Josh Allen. Now they went out and obviously added a guy to maybe go chase this thing, and that's great for you guys. But I think, like, anytime you trade a top receiver, it's kind of obvious, like, what the intention is here. Like, I'll put it to you this way: the Browns are not better today for trading Amari Cooper than they were yesterday, and I think that's kind of the bottom line for all of us. Is, to me, this is I guess I won't completely say like a waving of the white flag, but I do think it is a signal that, like, hey, we're starting to think about what this thing looks like the rest of the way, who's going to be here longer term, who's not, what we can trade and get draft capital for. Because I think given how Deshaun's played, given what this offense looks like, they're very much in, like, accumulate draft pick mode and start sort of planning for 2025.
He is Spencer German. You can hear him on our Odyssey Sports sister station, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Good with his time to join us for a few minutes here in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Spencer, let's talk about what that future might look like, because there are so many questions around the Browns. And obviously, this hasn't been a good start to the season. Deshaun Watson is playing historically bad football at quarterback. And there are rumblings out there, rumors out there that the Browns want to get out from this horrific contract that they have signed to Watson's name. How does it all look the rest of this year? I mean, like, it feels bad now. It could actually be worse down the stretch, correct?
Yeah, and that's the troubling thing for Stefanski, man. Like, he's got to navigate this thing and sort of tread lightly, because he has to balance not losing the locker room when he continually says, I think Deshaun gives us the best chance to win, and trots him out there every week, on top of managing the locker room after something like we saw yesterday with the Amari Cooper trade, and sort of still trying to signal to the guys like, hey, we're still winning, we still want to win, while also trying to navigate the idea that, like, at some point, like, if the results aren't there, guys are going to start turning on Deshaun. Like, they right now, they continue to say all the right things. They're like, man, we think he's really tough. We know he's out there grinding. He's gone through a lot of different things. You know, he's our guy. They're saying all the right things. But that only gets you so far when you just keep accumulating losses the way that they have. And at some point, I think all of us are kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop, where you start getting some of these. I mean, you guys know from all the years of covering the Bills, like, when there's bad years, like, you start getting guys talking a little bit more freely and maybe sharing their true thoughts on Deshaun Watson as the quarterback of this team. So that's the thing I think the team's trying to navigate and avoid. But the longer that they trot him out there, the longer that they continue to say he gives them the best chance to win, and then the results on Sunday are what you guys have seen, I'm sure, a little bit of, just not good football and one of the worst offenses this millennium. At some point, like, that's going to wear on people, where they're like, well, are you really serious about winning if this is what you continue to do? And there's conversations about, like, who actually has the authority to make that call. Kevin Stefanski says it's him, but it certainly feels like there's some pressure from ownership here, because they don't want to look like they messed up this whole situation with Deshaun to keep playing him. So I have my doubts about whether or not they'd bench him this year, because if this season continues going the way it is, and let's face it, like, it's pretty much already sort of in the toilet, I think that the goal sort of then becomes, can you salvage Deshaun Watson at all? So I wonder how close we are to that being the question, and how close we are to maybe them having to make a call on switching quarterbacks, because you're going to lose the locker room if you don't.
So, Spencer, one more thing on Stefanski, because I kind of hear what he's saying, and I know somebody was being funny online and posted, like, subtitles to one of his press conferences, almost as if it was a hostage video, and that he's just saying whatever the owners want him to say. And look, if you're an owner, you love that out of your head coach. You want your head coach to say and trumpet what you want to put out there. But Stefanski, a two-time coach of the year, is a better coach than what we're seeing right now. And if it goes badly, if he loses the locker room and they have to part ways, I would imagine Stefanski's on a sideline as a head coach as soon as next season. Why would the Browns do that if the guy is truly doing exactly what ownership wants him to do, and he's being, at minimum, a good employee?
Yeah, he certainly is, and this is, every season, because the coach is the one that meets with the media the most, but he sort of has become like the human meat shield for a lot of the distractions and other things going on, especially as it relates to Deshaun. He has to go out and answer those questions every week when ownership doesn't. So you're right about that. I mean, and it's fascinating, because usually when you get sort of, I don't want to call it a standoff, because I don't know that there's like a rift between Deshaun and Kevin. But, like, when there's a standoff within an organization between, like, do you side with the quarterback or do you side with the coach? Usually the quarterback wins. And this is a really unique situation, because we know how much the Browns invested in Deshaun financially, most notably, as you guys know, $230 million guaranteed, but also the 3 first-round draft picks they gave up over the last couple of years that you could have used on other players to help this roster. And now you're at a point where it's like, you're 3 years into this thing. Now you've also invested a lot of time in this guy. So given how much they've invested in him, like, you would think they'd have to keep siding with Deshaun, because they have to somehow find a way to make this thing work and for him to look good. But at the same time, like, are you really going to fire the head coach that is the one steady presence that's been able to sort of course correct an organization that for so long couldn't get out of its own way, and that got you 2 playoff appearances? And I understand, like, there's the 2 coach of the year things, the 2 coach of the year awards in there. That maybe matters, but I also, those are sort of arbitrary to me, because they're, voted on by outside people. But, like, yeah, like that all matters in the context of things. So it almost just feels like I don't know that they would fire Stefanski, but it almost feels like they would just do what they did last offseason and blame the offensive coordinator, which is also kind of crazy because how many times can you do that? How many actual times can you play the card of like, well, it's the offensive coordinator's fault, and so that means maybe they point the finger at Ken Dorsey. But then I wonder like what that means for Stefanski next year if they really do stick with Deshaun. There's a lot of questions there, and I continue to go back to like if Deshaun can't run Kevin Stefanski's offense, I don't know why they pursued him in the first place and made him the guy that they really desperately needed to be the franchise quarterback of this team, because that's been the biggest problem is, you know, guys like Joe Flacco come in and they run it flawlessly and the offense looks great, and then you have to build some special offense for Deshaun and it looks like the worst offense we've ever seen.
We're talking to a Rochester native, now with 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, Spencer German, our guest here. Is there any hope at all the Browns can get out from underneath this? Because there was, I don't want to say glimmer because that's the wrong thing. You had an accuser stepping forward, but it got us wondering, wait a second, there's a lot of chatter there. That, correct me if I'm wrong, I guess that has been resolved here, but I'm looking at the cap numbers right now for Deshaun Watson. His cap hit this year from $27 million. That jumps to $72 million next year. The dead cap figure next year, if you want to move on, $172 million. I don't even know how you would go about that, Spencer. Is there any hope that the Browns would have some sort of plan to get out from underneath this?
Yeah, so the timing of you asking this is interesting because there was a report today that the NFL is still looking into this latest incident where the woman accused him of basically sexual assault. Like many of the other cases that were out there. And he was asked about it today and said he hasn't spoken to the league. Now, I don't – this was kind of, to your point, like it popped up on people's radar because it felt like a chance for the Browns if he hadn't reported this to the team when signing the contract. There's language in there that they could have gotten out from it, and if he gets suspended under the personal conduct policy. But the problem is now, because he settled the case – and as you know, whatever sort of settlement there was, and it sounds like she was the accuser has sort of been sworn to, you know, not speak of it or talk to anybody. I don't know that she's going to meet with the NFL now, so I don't know how much the NFL is actually going to be able to uncover in terms of trying to issue a suspension to Deshaun, and that's kind of the interesting wrinkle here, because if he doesn't get suspended, then the Browns can't really use that as their golden parachute, if you will, to get out from the contract. And so that brings us back to what you said, just the cap figures. There's still $92 million that he's owed in terms of money that I guess he hasn't seen yet. It's fully guaranteed, but obviously you guys know, like the bonus money is the stuff that he gets up front. Every time they restructure, he gets that up front. So the money that hasn't officially like gone to his pockets yet is I think like $92 million if they were to move on from him. But like you said, it's a lot more than that when you spread it out over the cap for the next like 3-4 years where you had all these voided years put into it. So yeah, they're kind of stuck. Like this is a lot different than the Russell Wilson, you know, get out from under his contract with like 2 years to go thing. I want to say his numbers were far less than this. And so the Browns have kind of done this to themselves, and how they navigate that's going to be interesting, which is why, you know, the draft pick accumulation thing kind of is important for them, because if they're serious about finding a different quarterback, I think the only option at this point is going to be, well, hey, you got to try to draft one and hope that on a rookie deal, like they sort of supplant Deshaun until you can pay out the rest of his years that he's owed. And then you maybe roll on with that future potential franchise quarterback. So, yeah, like all these things are kind of tied together, but I don't see like an easy out for them to get out from underneath the Deshaun contract until after potentially next year.
ALCS shifts to Cleveland tomorrow night, Spencer. What are you looking for out of the Guards now down 0-2 to the Yanks?
Oh, man, they really need a quality start tomorrow. That's been the biggest difference, I think, in this game is just the Yankee starters obviously have been really good, and they're giving you like 5-6 innings. And first two games, like Guardian starters, I think for game one, Alex Cobb went maybe 2 innings. And obviously last night, Tanner Bybee only gave you 1 in the third. So they really need a quality start. And the other part of this is like they got to get the timely hits. They struggled with that in the last round. And then at the right time, games 4 and 5, like the timely hits started coming. So hopefully being down 2-0 is kind of a wake-up call for them. I know the crowd's going to be pretty raucous here in Cleveland. They're going to be excited about this one, and maybe that sort of shifts things back in their favor. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Hopefully the Guardians make it a series.
Yeah, Spencer, like Rochester, tons of Yankee fans. Secondary market only $67 for tomorrow. If it goes to Friday, it's only $100. I mean, can Yankee fans feel okay coming down to Cleveland? In other words, there because it's not that far a drive. What are we talking? Like, we could do it under 4 hours.
Yeah, it's about like 3.5 hours. I think is when I go door to door from my parents to my house. It's like 3.5. So I think that's pretty fair. Yeah, I mean, I here's what I'll say. Cleveland hates the Yankees. They that's like probably the team they hate the most. But it's not like a Philly situation down here where like you got to worry about people throwing snowballs at you or anything like that. So I think if people want to come down to the game, that'll be fair. But I'm sure there'll be a lot of Cleveland fans who are trying to buy up those tickets as well to make sure that they block the Yankees fans out.
Spencer, when can we hear you on the Fan?
So again, my schedule's always kind of sporadic, but I'll be hosting the afternoon show tomorrow, 2 to 7. So you can hear me on 92.3 then. And then probably pregame on Sundays the next time I'm on. So that'll be leading up to the Browns game. If anybody has any interest in listening to the Browns pregame show for a 1-5 team, that's where you can find me.
We have interest in listening to a guy from the 585 doing big things in Cleveland, buddy. It's great hearing your voice. Appreciate you making time for us, and we'll be paying attention.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure. Appreciate you guys.
You got it. There's Spencer German, 92.3, The Fan in Cleveland. What a mess the Browns are. An absolute disaster.
Maggie and Perloff do this thing every Wednesday morning, the great debate. The worst contract of all time. There's no debate on this.
Yeah, it's the Watson deal.
Oh, my God.
It's going to cripple them, not just for the term of Watson. I mean, this could keep them crippled for a decade.
So if it's not going to get any better, why not just hit the nuke button right now? You can't do anything this year, but maybe you're sitting him down and you're selling off everything. And then you cut him nothing. You could probably do it next year if you spread that out over 2 years, and then you're going to just be bare bones.
What about, I wonder what's in his contract as far as discipline for any transgressions?
Well, doesn't this seem ridiculous? Like just take a step back. You're going to get out of this contract because you didn't tell us about this one thing. Okay, he told you about every other thing, but you decided he was still good for the league. But because you weren't honest with us.
Well, I just wonder if there is like an out clause, because if you end up on the, if you get suspended for personal conduct, violating the personal conduct policy.
How good are Al Lerner's lawyers?
Yeah,
I mean, that's like the owner's lawyers. How good are they? Also, for the league, I don't think Park Ave really cares about the Browns after. Certainly, the other owners don't. After you did this, they're like, no, you know what? That's your grave. Go sit in it right now.
Nobody's going to feel sorry for him. Wow, just an absolute disaster, and an unbelievable fall from a guy who early in his NFL career looked like, one of the future elite quarterbacks in the game. Just a complete downfall. And you can't say that, given what we know, he didn't deserve it. He's a bad guy.
Also, for Yankee fans, if you are off on Friday, and part of this might be, we're down 2-0. Why wouldn't you, for $100 the get-in price?
There'll be Yankee fans there. They're going to be
I know.
There are going to be a
People
lot of Yankee fans there. I know that Spencer said that the Guardian fans hate the Yankees more than any other team, and that's kind of universal. I think most of the AL Central teams view the Yankees as like, oh, they just buy their roster. They don't. There's no. They view them through a different lens.
Well, look, I have a good friend of the show, Josh Reed, Josh Reed, WIVB in Buffalo. He is from Cleveland, and he's a Guardians fan, and he keeps on tweeting out the score, but the score divided by the payroll, and pointing out that the Yankees had the fight. This is what I would say to any Cleveland fan or any team that has a low payroll. You know what? Look at the Padres. Okay, you too can have a higher payroll. It's your owner that decided, you know what? I really want a bigger margin here. Like, some teams are more egregious, mind you. Like the Pirates, I don't know how you would deal being a Pirate fan, but for the Guardians, they run their business smart, but spend a little bit more money. You can be the Padres in baseball.
Right. No, I can tell you from growing up in the Midwest, when the Yankees were winning titles, everybody just plugs their nose. Ugh. The Yankees, because it's always been the perception that they will go out and buy a championship, that they'll always have this high payroll. And I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. If you want that, your billionaire owner should go buy himself a baseball team. He already owns it. Now buy a team and compete and get out there and get after it. The Yankees figure it out. The Padres have figured it out. The Dodgers have figured it out. I don't think it's a mistake. I don't think there's any secret.
Look, the local revenues are higher, okay, when you own your own network like the Yankees do and the Dodgers. But again, the Padres don't have a TV deal. They just have an owner that, okay, I'll just take a little bit and we're going to reinvest for the community. What a concept.
Disturbed is coming to KeyBank Center on April 4th, 2025. Tickets for this show are going on sale Friday morning, 10 a.m., livenation.com. You listen to the Sports Bar. You listen to the Fan. Let's reward you for that by giving you a free pair of tickets to see Disturbed with Daughtry and Nothing More at KeyBank Center, April 4th, 2025. Caller 5 right now at 866-4326, 866-4FAN, and you win. Amari Cooper is in Buffalo. Happy Hour is next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Amari Cooper has arrived. He's talking to reporters this afternoon. The Bills will be giving number 18 to their new wide receiver. Steve Tasker today at One Bills Live wants Cooper involved.
I say you try and hit him in the mouth right out of the gate. The first 3 shots of the game are to Amari Cooper. You got to target him early and often to get him in the mindset, not only your offense and Josh and all that, but it's also the Titan defense, which is number 1 in the league. Get him on their menu quick, and then let them think about that while you're doing your regular offense.
Today being just a walkthrough, tomorrow at full practice, we'll have a better idea tomorrow as to the progress of James Cook and Ed Oliver. Tonight, it's Mets and Dodgers, Game 3, Citi Field. Luis Severino against Walker Buehler. 7 o'clock tonight for coverage of Sabres hockey. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh. Gene Battaglia, sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
Amari Cooper having more of an impact for the Buffalo Bills than Davante Adams will have for the New York Jets.
Sign me up for that. This is a year of Josh Allen's prime. We want to get him in here and get him up to speed on our terminology and our system and see how he fits in.
He is averaging his highest amount of separation since 2018, so he is still a great deep threat.
The Bills get all the production without the drama.
He's still got it. I mean, the guys are playing at a high level.
Mike Danger.
Another reason to feel optimistic about the Bills.
Yeah. Gene Battaglia.
You're 4-2. You get a winnable game coming up this week. You got to be loving life if you're a Buffalo Bills fan. Now that we have this news that Amari Cooper is a Buffalo Bill, give me the scenario where Josh Allen is healthy and the Bills don't win the division.
I can't think of one.
No.
Let's go Mets. Go Bills.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester.
Happy hour in the sports bar, Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us. Thanks for listening along at 95.7 FM, AM 950. The free-to-download Odyssey app, your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. You can watch the sports bar. Our stream is up on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester. Gene is not wearing his Grimace costume yet. You can also find us on Twitch at The Fan Rochester as we stream there as well. And you can reach out to us at 866-4326 or on Elon's Twitter. That's X at The Fan Rochester. Where do we start with happy hour?
All right, trivia, just for fun.
Yes.
For Amari Cooper, he's been in the league since 2015. How many games has he played in the regular season in Buffalo?
Has he not played a regular season game in Buffalo?
Yeah, 1. 2017 with the Raiders. 5 catches, 48 yards.
Okay.
And the Bills won by 20. I vaguely remember this. This would have been McDermott's first year, but just the way it kind of played out, that was the only time Oakland came here. Dallas didn't come here in those years. And then you had Cleveland playing the Bills, but that was moved because of snow. That was up in Detroit. So that there was a Bills home game up in Detroit.
Okay. Yep. Man, the closer we get to Sunday at 1 o'clock, and the more I keep hearing about the number 1 defense in the NFL, the more I worry. And I know I probably shouldn't worry, but the more I worry that Tennessee could give the Bills some issues on Sunday. Gene, talk me off the ledge a little bit here.
Have you watched Will Levis play yet?
Yes.
Will Levis is a knucklehead. Think Josh Allen's rookie season and just put that on steroids or give him some more mayo or whatever it is. Will Levis just will give the Bills a few gifts in this game. So there's that.
Sean McDermott versus a rookie quarterback. Or not a rookie, but
an inept quarterback. Yeah. I thought if you were going to say this week, hey, we got to save our season, Mason Rudolph is going to go in. By the way, he's their backup. I would listen to that because Rudolph, after all, did kind of do okay, I think, last year, although the Steelers came up short in that game. Okay, maybe the run game won't be there, but with Cooper going in, and hey, the Jets have already said, we're using Davante Adams. Good for the Jets. That's the Jets. That's not what we're talking about right now. I would expect Sean McDermott, even though he's not saying right now, you've got to come up with a few plays here for Cooper and get that offense going.
Yeah, I mean, what percentage chance do you think Amari Cooper isn't wearing a Bills uniform come Sunday? He's in the game. He's active. He's playing in the game on Sunday, right? I mean, like, that would be kind of crazy for him not to suit up.
He's suiting up.
He's suiting up. McDermott's slow playing everything. And yeah,
he does.
I like Tasker's take. Get him involved early. Like, feed him early and see, and get him invested, get him involved in the early stages of that game. Now, Tennessee's defense is good because it has to be good. The offense hasn't really been anything. You got a quarterback that turns the ball over way too much in Will Levis. But that defensive front for Tennessee is the largest in the NFL. So are there concerns that Josh Allen might not have a comfortable day in the pocket, that the offensive line for the Buffalo Bills won't be able to match the physicality or the size of Tennessee's front four?
I don't think you have to worry about that. I think the other end of the ball is such a mismatch in this game. What we saw Monday night, seeing these guys come back, seeing Taylor Rapp not only come back out of concussion protocol, but seeing the best version to date we've seen of Taylor Rapp. Hey, Taron Johnson, bad play at the end of the first half, no doubt. Play of the year for him and on the defense, and that you get Bernard another week under his belt. The defense right now, and maybe, just maybe, Danger, you get Ed Oliver back. I don't know. You're going to get James Cook. We're going to learn more tomorrow. I hear what you're saying about the Tennessee. Come on, they couldn't beat the Colts. Like, this is a team that seems down and out. If it were a sleepy spot, meaning, hey, this is the third time in 4 weeks the Bills have been home and everything's kind of good, you are going to have an emotional high. These guys are back home. They don't have to travel. They've got a new teammate. Their management, by making that move, is saying, hey, guys, we're going for it. Now, it's a different set of characters, but remember what happened when they did it with Kelvin Benjamin? Kelvin Benjamin didn't do anything, but everybody else kind of picked it up, and the Bills ended up in the playoffs that year.
A name that you should watch for, and I'm not saying that he's going to make impact plays for Tennessee's defense. I'm saying, regardless of your affiliation, he's a fun player to watch on the defensive line for Tennessee. This T'Vondre Sweat character is a menace. Mm-hmm. Fast, 360-pound dude playing nose tackle for Tennessee. And I just, in the limited amount of Tennessee games that we've been able to watch this year, he's been the guy that stood out to me as like, he's going to be a problem in the NFL because of his size, coupled with the speed that he has for his size. 23-year-old out of Texas. Sweat is somebody that I hope the Bills have an answer for there on the offensive line. Otherwise, running the ball could be problematic for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, so get Josh Allen going. Can Shakir get a little healthier there? The question is, when we talk to PJ Glasser, 8.5. PJ Glasser says no. Do not go lay the points with the Buffalo Bills in this game. If the Bills are going to be healthy, I don't see how this doesn't go. Maybe it's not Jacksonville sort of blowout mode, because I do think probably this team still plays hard, where Jacksonville clearly didn't that night, but it's just a spot, Danger, that you're back home. You're back home. Sunday at 1 o'clock. The last time you kicked off the ball Sunday at 1 o'clock, we were just beginning the season.
That's right. Yeah, it's not always who you play, but when you play them. And this spot does set up nice for the Bills coming back home after a 3-game road trip that saw them go 1-2, I should say. So yeah, you want to get the dub in front of your fans against a team that on paper is less talented than you, and certainly with a quarterback less talented than Josh Allen.
Yeah, and they're in that spot where Will Levis showed you enough last year, and you're like, okay, he can air it out. And now you're in that spot where, okay, we've got to give him a little bit more time.
Or do you question, like, who gives you the best chance to win right now?
It's not Will Levis, but what you're doing best for the franchise. Like, you're not going to win a championship with Mason Rudolph. Sorry, you're just not.
It's funny, man. I mean, like, we see owners with their fingerprints on decisions all over the place, right? We've spent so much time in the last week talking about the Jets and seeing how their owner just seems to be meddlesome. He's just involving himself in everything because – he has the ear of the quarterback. He has the ear of Aaron Rodgers.
We win that game if that pass, if Williams runs the right route.
And everybody in that locker room knows, like, wow, Rodgers just threw one of our guys under the bus. Didn't even hold back. Like, didn't try to hide it. Tried to backpedal when he had his hit on McAfee, but it doesn't matter. Everybody in that locker room knows if they step out of line, God forbid, Rodgers is going to call them out. Rodgers, is going to publicly humiliate them. And Williams, they're looking to ship Williams out. I mean, now Williams, we can't have him. We got to trade him. Bring up the owner in Tennessee, probably having his thumbprint on this decision as well to continue with Will Levis, even though Mason Rudolph probably gives you a better chance to win. It's just close enough where you could say, if all things are equal, let's go with the younger kid who has more upside.
Well, it's just if you get to the end of the year and it's a non-playoff year, which you would expect, you're going back to the well here if you're the Titans. Like, this is a team that, are they really in? Or are they just trying to hope they get lucky in the second or third round? Malik Willis, all right, you moved on from that pretty quick. Second round for Levis. I can't believe he was there in the second round. Well, there's a reason he was there in the second round.
Yeah. We'll have the game for you, 1 o'clock. Kickoff. Pre-game Sunday morning, 9 a.m., right after Italian Carousel.
So do you see how there's a full circle to that? Some may say, listen to WGR and you'll be listening to the Buffalo Bills. Or do you want to listen and get some Italian music? Because you know what we do on a Victory Monday? Mm-hmm. Like, you call up Joe Capogreco, and I'm sure he takes requests, and say, I want to listen to some Bruno Martino.
Yeah.
That'll knock him over
just
with
to
a
get
feather.
Fired up.
Yeah.
Just to get fired up for a Buffalo Bills game on Sunday. In fact, while you're tailgating, just pull us up in the app, in the Odyssey app. You can listen to Bruno Martino and get ready for a win against the Tennessee Titans on Sunday. So smooth. So yes, right after Italian Carousel on Sunday morning. Bills pregame.
Can I
the only station in the country, the only sports station in the country that devotes 2 hours to our fine Italian heritage in the Rochester community.
Because we know our community.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Of course, we have Joe Capogreco in here for 2 hours on a Sunday morning. Because he's Italian.
Danger, do I have your permission, or is this a bad idea? I'm going to leave your decision on this. Because you know I go to every Bills game, right? And you know I'm up, and I'm on the road. And quite often I'll have the Italian Carousel on. Do I call up Joe Capogreco just as Gino from Spencerport?
Yeah.
And request Bruno Martino?
I think you have to lay it all out. I think you do a full, like you were on with Binkley in Kansas City last night. This is you doing a hit on Italian Carousel.
I'm probably not welcome on Italian Carousel.
Why?
It's on his show.
Your name ends in a vowel. You'll be fine.
I don't think he puts on callers, though, does he?
I hope he does. He should. Like in Italian, speaking Italian.
I don't speak Italian, though.
No, I know you don't. But you know what? I imagine that Mike and Joe on Sunday morning would appreciate that phone call. And even if you only, explain what's going on. Just explain it to them, and I think it'll be well received. So there you go. A reason to listen to before we get to pregame, the pre-pregame, your Italian Carousel on Sunday morning.
Yeah, can we have some Bruno Martino, and we'll see if he obliges.
Yeah, that's right. Or, if you want to do your boy a solid, ask for some Titty Bianchi.
Titty.
That's what I said. Titty Bianchi.
Amari Cooper will be wearing number 18, folks, for the Buffalo Bills.
This is Chris Brown earlier today on One Bills Live on the skill set of the Bills' new wide receiver.
Yep, absolutely. So he is a 4.4 speed guy. Doesn't look like he's moving, but he is. At 6'1" and a 219-pound frame, his suddenness is not readily apparent to the eye, but you watch him against man coverage get separation, which he can still do now at age 30, and you see very quickly why he is as effective as he is. Really good on releases. He's got a multi-dimensional toolbox in terms of his release skill set, and he is very good against press man, very strong. And then then on top of that, people are like, oh, he's 30 years old. Can he still do it? The guy is coming off his most productive season of his career. 1,250 yards receiving is his highest receiving yardage total of his career, and he did it with quarterbacks named Deshaun Watson and Joe Flacco. Now he's playing with Josh Allen. I mean, I don't want to get people too excited, but the guy is still at the top of his game in my estimation and is going to make a world of difference against man coverage, which the Bills have seen more and more each of the last 3 weeks.
I think it's going to get you fired up. On top of that, too, at Ed Brownie, it's not just the yardage last year. It was the average per catch, 17 yards per reception. Is there anything close to that right now?
Pretty good.
I mean, you were thinking maybe Samuel, certainly MVS, and no, nobody is. He's still out there. I guess he doesn't have to go through waivers, Danger. He can sign anywhere.
Yeah.
The Kansas City, probably.
The separation thing, I think, is key because that's been the struggle for these wide receivers is getting that separation. And if Cooper still has that ability to do so, the drops are the thing I'm going to be paying attention to. Right now, he leads the league in drops. And we had Spencer German from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland joining us last hour. And he said, look, the drops have been problematic. In fact, the drop, you can argue that one drop cost them a game against the Raiders.
That was really bad.
It was bad.
That was bad.
Really bad. So that's the thing that I'm watching out for. You can say, oh, statistically or according to the analytics, he's the worst wide receiver in the league. And I'll put that aside and say, yeah, Deshaun Watson is throwing him the ball, so I'm not going to put a ton of stock in that. But if the ball hits you in the hands, you got to catch it. And he does lead the league. He's tied for the league in drops, and some of those drops have been more than problematic. They've cost the Browns games. So that's the thing that I think right away you can say, all right, he's impactful. He's catching the ball. He's not letting it out once it gets in. And Amari Cooper is going to have himself a nice stretch run here with the Bills this season.
Yeah, and from all accounts, we talked to Spencer German last hour. He's like the opposite of like the finger quote here, diva wide receiver. Give me the targets, give me the numbers. I'm going to have some input. He's just going to kind of keep a low profile. So it's, and I think that's worth pointing out because, well, wait a second, why do the Raiders give up on him? Why do the Cowboys give up on him? Why did the Browns give up on him? Well, at least from the Browns standpoint, he's on an expiring deal, and they made the choice, hey, do we want to re-sign this guy next year or not? I'm just a little surprised this is all they got for him, but maybe those dropsies helping out his market value, the Bills are buying something cheaper. Again, for anybody that is concerned about this move, I just ask you, what is the downside? No. You weren't using MVS. So
no, it's a low-risk move. And you know, much like in life, if you're in the NFL, you buy low, sell high. You know, hopefully you're buying low on Amari Cooper here, and you are buying low. I mean, to get him at just over $800,000 for the rest of this season is a bargain, and there's really no risk. You give up a third. Okay, you have plenty of draft picks. You're okay for next year. This is another weapon for Josh Allen this season. I think I like the move. I want to make sure that the player is motivated. I want to see a motivated Amari Cooper. I want to see an Amari Cooper that doesn't have costly and timely drops for the rest of this season. And I have a feeling that we're getting a motivated Amari Cooper. What was the thing he put on his Instagram story?
Rust or move.
Move or rust.
Yeah,
move or rust. So that's good. Let's see him follow that up with some action as soon as Sunday.
I think it's just hilarious. But logistically, you're not getting in a plane going from Cleveland to Buffalo, but he drove himself. Ring, ring. Hey, you've been traded. Okay, I'll be there tonight. Like, can you imagine you're going along, and we've all done that drive, right? It's kind of boring. Can we not say?
You know, I don't mind it.
I mean, when you're on Erie, the lake.
Yes, I like the view of the lake. I'd say the stretch from Buffalo to Erie is a little bit tough. That's the tough part for me. Do they still have the McDonald's that's over the expressway? The one that has,
of course,
is that still open?
That's the one, Angola, the rest stop you're talking about, yeah.
And then there was also for a long period of time, this was your route to get your favorite, some Chick-fil-A.
That was it, exactly. Erie, PA. You
Erie
knew about that, yeah.
Erie had the Chick-fil-A that nobody else had. Now we have Chick-fil-A, and we take it for granted. But that was really one of the only places where you get Quaker Steak and Lube. I remember was yes. There's a Quaker Steak and Lube in Erie too. So. The drive isn't that bad. So I don't, and especially if you're just driving to Buffalo. I mean, that's what, two and a half?
2.5 hours, yeah.
Not too bad.
Like when he shows up, Like, does they have the little security gate? Like, is Brandon Beane ready there? Is Sean McDermott ready? How does that all kind of...
I just think it's fascinating that McDermott is using corporate words like onboarding today in his press conference. Yes, we're getting him onboarded.
Here's the kitchen.
Let me give you a tour of the facility. This is where we keep all the silverware. We have
if you need office supplies, it's in this closet. Yeah.
What would you say you do here? That's today. The walkthrough for the Bills today. Everybody participating in the walkthrough. So we really don't know what the status will be of James Cook or Ed Oliver until they go through their full practice tomorrow, and that'll be Amari Cooper's first real practice with the Buffalo Bills, with today just being a walkthrough. Again, Sunday afternoon kickoff, 1 o'clock. You'll hear the action on the Fan Rochester with Chris Brown, Eric Wood, and Sal Capaccio on the call.
Aren't you impressed how calm I've been this afternoon?
No, I want to give you some time, and it is happy hour. I want you to be happy. I know I bag on you and other Mets fans quite a bit, but I'm starting to have some fun watching this team. They're fun. This is fun. When I see the giant billboard in Times Square that McDonald's took out that says, "It wasn't luck, it wasn't fate, it was Grimace." And it's a picture of Grimace on the mound with his mitt and his Mets cap throwing out the first pitch. It's perfect. It's a perfect ad. It's a fun campaign. And I love that Grimace has become this rallying cry. I think it's like it has rally monkey written all over it, right? Like when the Angels went on that run, it has that kind of feel to it.
Yeah, it's also got this, wait a second, where are these guys coming from? And I tweeted this out today. This is from a game in April. Red Wings in Syracuse. The Syracuse Mets are up 4-0, and Jose Iglesias bats in from second base, Mark Vientos. It's like these are two mainstays of the Mets lineup who are beating the Red Wings. Normally this doesn't work this way.
Yeah. Now, don't hate me for this.
You're going to take the Dodgers tonight?
Well, if I took the Dodgers tonight, you'd be thanking me.
You're going to bet the Mets? I forbid you.
PJ, I'm tailing PJ. PJ took the Mets on the money line.
Stop.
I'm taking the Mets on the money line.
What are you going to pay? I'm paying you right now. What are you doing here? I got my.
I'm gonna bet a unit. The Mets on the money line. Look at Geno Cash over here.
Yeah. That's right. I'm like Danger. I don't use cash.
I don't like
it's
cash.
Dirty.
You're dirty money. You're dirty cash out of my face. We're gonna go Mets money line, and I'm doing it because I'm tailing PJ. This isn't a hunch. This isn't me just betting baseball. I'm following PJ's advice, and I'm taking them because I kind of like the way. That's disgusting, dude. You're gonna get mono now.
No, I just smell cash.
Sniff your cash.
Oh,
throw
cash
that right up to your nose. It's
so
spinning your
good.
It's been in your dirty pocket all day. You're gonna sniff it all up and inhale all that. Gross. Yuck. Mets on the money line. Let's go Mets. I'm on your team, Gino. Let's go Mets.
I don't want you. Nope. Bet Walker Buehler, buddy. Go right ahead. Shots in the sports bar coming up as well. Hey, what's been one of the reasons for the Yankee turnaround? We'll tell you about one of these coaches that really isn't a coach, but has really helped one of their pitchers. We haven't gotten to the story about the Rays in the stadium because we all saw the photos and like, that's bad. Yeah, no, they've got a real logistical problem down there. Not sure where they're going to be playing next season. We got some Sabre news and notes, and if the Jets didn't have something else on their plate to kind of concern themselves with, this is a big old Francesa, I would think.
Okay. Oh, a big old Francesa coming up.
Oh, who cares?
Can't wait for that. A round of shots on the way. And last call where you can have the final say in the sports bar. 866-4FAN if you want to get in. 585-866-4326. In fact, right now, let's use that number. Be caller 5. We've got more tickets to give away, too. I almost forgot about this. Brian Regan is coming to the Kodak Center, and we want to get you free tickets to see that show as well. So 866-4326 to see Brian Regan at the Kodak Center from your friends at the Fan Rochester.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester. The puck drops on the Fan tonight. Buffalo Sabres are in action tonight at 7 on 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester. Bills, Sabres, Amerks, all on your favorite sports station. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Hey, this is Gene Battaglia. Join us for the excitement of St. John Fisher University football this season on The Fan Rochester. Our next broadcast of Cardinal football will be Saturday, October 26th, when Fisher plays at Cortland. Mick Coble will bring you all the action. Our pregame coverage will begin at 12:30. St. John Fisher football is brought to you in part by Camco Days and Special Times, Canandaigua National Bank and Trust, Monroe Roadways, Whitney & Company, and by Top Notch Monogramming. St. John Fisher football, Saturday, October 26th at 12:30 on The Fan Rochester.
Trust and Will knows that from school first days to fall birthdays, now's the season to celebrate and protect what matters most. Trust and Will makes planning for the future easy, like leaf peeping in Rochester easy. Trust and Will helps you create a will, set up a trust, or manage your estate step by step. Visit trustandwill.com and save 10% now with offer code Rochester. That's trustandwill.com, offer code Rochester. Trust and Will is an online service providing legal forms and information. It is not a law firm and is not a substitute for the advice of an attorney.
The Ide family of dealerships is locally owned, and when you do business with us, you're also supporting the hundreds of local organizations that we're part of. So when you're in the market, visit us at Ide Honda or Ide Volkswagen. We're here, we're local, and we'd love to earn your business.
Are you the decision maker in your company? Consider this. For the first time in decades, there's a better option for a corporate card and spend management platform. Meet Ramp, the only corporate card and spend management system designed to help you spend less money so you can make more. With Ramp, you get full visibility into your company's spending and control who spends what with each vendor. Ramp's software collects and verifies receipts instantly to save your team valuable time. Ramp automates data entry and routine tasks with automated approvals, expense categorization and bill payments, time-consuming tasks. Which means you'll stop wasteful spending and close your books in hours instead of days. Businesses that use Ramp add up to 5% to their bottom line the first year. If you're a decision maker, adding Ramp could be one of the best decisions you've ever made. Get $250 when you join Ramp for free. Just go to ramp.com/radio. Ramp.com/radio. RAMP.com/radio.
Cards issued by Sutton Bank and Celtic Bank, members FDIC. Terms and conditions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm at the movies, asking people if they'll switch seats with me for $574.
Here, take mine.
So what about $574 if you switch your home insurance to Allstate?
Sports Update.
Amari Cooper is in Buffalo. He did meet the media today. Cooper will be wearing number 18 with his new team. Head coach Sean McDermott on his new wide receiver.
Pleasant, pro. He's a grown man. I mean, he's been in the league 10 years now, and he's seen a lot of things, a couple different teams, and he's experienced the ebbs and flows like we all do of the NFL. And like I said, we're happy to have him.
Today being just a walkthrough. Tomorrow, a full practice. We should have a better idea tomorrow as to the progress for James Cook, Ed Oliver, and others. Mets and Dodgers play Game 3 tonight. Citi Field Series tied at 1. It'll be Luis Severino of the Mets going against Walker Buehler of L.A. Got Sabres hockey tonight. It's the first game of a 3-game road trip. The Sabres are in Pittsburgh. Our coverage will begin at 7 o'clock. Gene Battaglia on the Sports Leader, the Fan Rochester.
Bills fans, Odyssey is your home for football. Stay up to date on everything Bills, no matter where you are, with the Odyssey app and the Sports Leader, the Fan, Rochester.
Happy Hour continues on the Fan. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. It's time for a round of shots, Gino.
Danger, if I give you the phrase special advisor, what comes to mind there? Like, we're going to give you a job of special advisor.
Oh, like a consultant, or you're just not really involved, or you're just collecting a paycheck?
Yeah, I think that would be, like, if you're a former player and the team gives you this title.
What's Bruce Arians doing with the Bucs still? Is he still there as a special advisor?
Special advisor, like you're doing nothing. Well, the Yankees have a special advisor who actually is kind of helping out. That would be Andy Pettitte. Pettitte has taken another lefty under his wing, Carlos Rodon. Now, if you remember last year, it didn't go so well for Rodon, and part of it was adjusting to pitching in the Bronx. Well, the two this year have been talking regularly. It's a subtle coaching that Pettitte has been giving him that's helped them rebound this season. Game 3 in Cleveland has a 5:08 start tomorrow. The starting pitchers in this game will be Clark Schmidt. Matthew Boyd will go for the Guardians.
Okay, and we'll look for timely hits from the Guardians. They haven't had them in this series so far, and Spencer German, who joined us last hour, saying we can get more out of our starting pitchers. They just haven't been able to compete with the Yankees starting lineup. So
the Tampa Bay Rays are going to need a temporary home. Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times reporting that Tropicana Field will not be ready in time for opening day 2025 as the roof torn off by Hurricane Milton. You know, this isn't a roof like the Metrodome with Teflon. This is a 6-acre roof. There are other issues here, too. They yet to even assess how much structural damage there's been. And yes, the roof was insured, but as anyone down there can tell you, have fun going through that process, right, of getting it paid for. This also raised the question, you get it paid for. Well, you do have a new stadium on the horizon in 2028. Is it smart money to put Diamond repairs there? Could the Rays have played their last game at the Trop? If you're wondering why not just play without a roof, that's not possible. There's no drainage on the field. You would have standing water every time it rained.
That is a tough spot. So I imagine that there's probably I'm thinking there's got to be like some college fields or campuses that they can play on.
Well, the short-term solution would be, okay, if they can get this up and running, say, by like May, you're playing at spring training sites, like how the Blue Jays did out in Dunedin. But a lot of those sites, they have their already teams kind of in place. So you're kind of evicting somebody. You also have now everybody's kind of speculating. Could the team go to San Juan? Could they go to their AAA affiliate, go play in Norfolk? Could they go to Montreal and be the Rays up in Montreal? There's a lot of different scenarios here for the Rays, but the gamut here is they're not playing there in the spring they're never going to play on that field ever again.
Right. It's a wide range. And all of this is happening, and then do we not have anything concrete on what the A's are going to do next year?
Well, no, they're in Sacramento.
That's for sure happening.
That is for sure.
Do we know, are they
pending the Players Association approval, which I haven't seen. Now,
that's what I'm waiting for.
So that's something right now with the postseason. If you're Major League Baseball, you're doing everything to squelch. As far as baseball is concerned, they're playing in Sacramento. Now, the Players Association, are they going to, whine and piss and moan? Probably not if they show, hey, we're breaking ground on this in Vegas. Until they actually do that, Danger.
I'm waiting for the retrofitting of the Sacramento baseball stadium the way that they made the Bisons do in Buffalo. Like, when are those concessions being made? When are they going to add like nicer locker rooms, professional locker rooms, all of the things that Buffalo had to go through to host the Jays there for a period of time? I'd imagine is in line for Sacramento. It has to be, right?
Can we put our hand? Hey, we'll take the Rays here in Rochester, Frontier Field. Bigger,
yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Come on, we got the staff. That's the other thing too.
It's our insecurity showing. We're a minor league town, but we like to believe we're a major league city.
There's so many other details. Like the roof is the one thing that kind of jumps out to you. So the front office for the Rays, it's right there. The roof gets taken off of the front office, so on the 4th floor, it's just gone. It's just gone. It's like,
terrible, man. I mean, that was a chilling sight, and I know that I have a lot of friends that are down there assessing damage, and luckily nobody that I'm connected with, I think, suffered any severe loss or any tragic loss, but just getting sorted from that mess. The way it was described to me is, imagine Rochester after a lake effect snowstorm when you have those giant piles of snow and vacant parking lots, except with sand. And that's what they're trying to clean up from in South Florida.
Yeah, it's so it's going to have some sort of impact on next baseball season for sure. What is coming up really quick, Danger, Tuesday night, the opening of the NBA, Celtics and Knicks. I can't wrap my mind around that, too. Let's introduce you to a player that may be capturing your attention, your imagination this season in the NBA. That would be Memphis rookie guard Yuki Kamamura. Kamamura had 10.7 assists in a game against Indiana. A no-look pass that went viral. Oh, by the way, he's 5'8".
Oh, boy.
That's what he's listed at, 5'8". Now, if he does make the Grizzlies roster, he'll serve as Ja Morant's backup. He made a name for himself at the Olympics, but we're not really paying attention to the Japanese men's basketball team. But somebody took notice and maybe makes the team.
Given Morant's decision-making off the court, I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of this player.
Maybe. That would be a good PR move. Former Buffalo Sabre Riley Sheehan has announced his retirement. He played 657 games in the NHL, but nothing last year. His last game in Buffalo was in 2022. If you remember the story, well, he was on a 2-way contract, and he refused to come down to the Amerks, and the Sabres cut him. No one picked him up.
Yeah.
Good time to bring up this story. Sheehan, when he was underage in 2012, he was arrested in Michigan for driving under the influence. He was wearing a purple Teletubby costume and was carrying the ID of a Red Wings prospect named Brandon Smith when he was arrested. When asked by police, why are you carrying somebody else's ID? He told police so he could get into bars.
All right, I got to unpack everything that you just said. I mean, the fake ID, okay. The underage driving under the influence. Hey, look, I'm not advocating for that, but I know a lot of kids when they're underage do stupid things. You make stupid. The part that I'm struggling with is the purple Teletubby costume. I think that's Tinky Winky, Pinky Winky. Which one was the purple one?
I don't know.
You didn't watch Teletubbies with your kids?
No. No, but then are you so bombed? Why are you carrying this ID? Well, I just wanted to get into the bars. Okay, step outside the car, sir.
Tinky Winky. I wasn't far off. Tinky Winky is the purple one that looks like they have a clothes hanger coming out of the middle of their head. And he's wearing that costume, bombed, behind the wheel of a car. To jail. I mean, to jail. What are we doing?
You're the officer on the side of the road. Like, wait, what? It's speeding by?
Was it a Halloween party?
It happened in October. Okay. So that
maybe it was a Halloween party. I mean, Halloween parties get a little wild. Pro prospect in the NHL getting pulled over wearing a Tinky Winky costume.
Lesson be learned: if you refuse a assignment to the Amerks, someday the sports bar may bring up something about you might not want brought up.
Well, I think he got what he deserved, which is he wanted to play, continue to play, and it wasn't going to be here. Nobody else picked him up.
Nobody else picked him up, and then just announced his retirement.
Yeah.
Finally, Let it be known, Fireman Ed is not happy.
Who cares?
Not because the Jets are losing, not because the Jets really have no long-term plan.
Oh, who cares?
Ed is not, I'm not going to call him Fireman Ed. He's just simply Ed. Ed is not happy because he believes the Jets are phasing him out.
Oh,
In
who
a
cares?
rant on Instagram, Ed says the Jets aren't showing him as much on the scoreboard.
Oh,
For
who cares?
example, when the team scores a touchdown, they don't show him anymore. Okay, Ed, that's what, 2 less times during the Bills game? In fact, since there were no touchdowns in the Broncos game, you're upset
Oh, who
about
cares?
This guy needs to go away. I get it. But the ego is a little out of control. The ego
Dude,
is a little
forgive
out
me,
of control.
did they not show him at the beginning of the ESPN broadcast?
He's always, I mean, he gets more screen time than the guys in the booth. He gets more screen time than Joe and Troy. The ego on this guy. I'm not going to be a fan anymore. I'm done. I'm denouncing my fandom. Okay.
Oh, who cares?
Bye. See ya. I think he gets compensated. I don't know if he gets compensated by the Jets, but I know he's getting compensated for his fandom.
No, he is like one of the original influencers.
That's right.
I've told this story on the air before because I had a previous life where I was selling print ads for NFL publications, and I would do this remotely. And there was a bar down in the tri-state area that was running some ads with us, and they wanted to, like Ed, not Fireman Ed would just do appearances.
Yeah.
Like, and you pay him under the table or whatever it is, and let me go hang with Fireman Ed. And you take pictures with Fireman Ed.
Oh, who cares?
It's a good cottage industry if you're Fireman Ed.
Yeah.
Like if you're a super fan, this should be kind of the dream of everybody, right? I'm the face of the, like if we had that for, like, would Pinto Ron ever charge anybody? Come hang with Pinto Ron. I'm trying to think of other Bills fans that you know by name.
Pinto Ron's family may be listening right now. That's a good question. If you're associated with Pinto Ron, because Rochester guy, let us know. I don't know that he would. I don't know that if he does or doesn't. I mean, Dell would be a guy I would look at it. I mean, Del Reed is.
He made his own business out of this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's just being opportunistic. I don't fault him for making money off of his fandom. The problem I have with him is him bitching about not getting screen time at the game.
Oh, who cares?
Or saying 1 minute I'm not a fan anymore, and then saying, oh well, okay, I guess I'm going to make money. I might as well become a fan. Like, you're a fraud. You're a complete fraud, a total fraud.
Put me on the scoreboard. What are you a child? They used to do this at the Amber games all the time. Like, hey, cut away, and then there's all 10-year-old kids jumping up and down and jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's who you are, Ed. Except you're a grown man.
That's right. Well, we'll have to monitor this story as it unfolds through the course of the season. Is Ed getting his screen time at MetLife? And if not, what are the Jets thinking? How dare they? How dare they, sir, keep him off the scoreboard? We got to take a break. Last call is next at 866-4FAN. 585-866-4326.
4326, The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
I love this answer from Amari Cooper. Asked, why did you choose number 18? And there were only two other options.
All right, so I don't know what those two other options were.
Somebody went through it, 6 and 16.
Okay.
I think 18 is the strongest of those, right?
Yeah. Our buddy Brian, who listens to the show, one of our regulars, reached out. He was like, okay, they got to cut Bass so they can give Cooper the number 2. I think that would be an extreme reason to cut Bass. I mean, you cut Bass because he's a terrible kicker, but you're not doing that because you got too much invested in him.
Can you change your number mid-season? I don't think you can.
I believe you can.
You can, okay.
I think in New York, actually, Garrett Wilson just took 17 away from one of their players, so I'm fairly certain you can change your number.
Oh, you mean Devontae Adams took 17 away?
What did I say?
You said Garrett Wilson.
I'm sorry. Devontae Adams took 17 away. I meant to say Devontae Adams. Yeah, he took 17 from one of the players.
You were. I see where you're thinking. The best wide receiver on the Jets. Oh wait, no, it's Devontae Adams.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, according to the quarterback, the 40-year-old quarterback that can't move anymore and throws interceptions at inopportune times. Yeah, that guy. Devontae Adams took 17 from I forget who was 17 for the Jets, but yeah, that can happen. But Bass will keep 2, and Cooper will wear 18, and tomorrow we'll have a full practice from the Buffalo Bills to react to, and we'll have Dan Fates from 13 Web Sports and BuffaloPlus.com to get his thoughts not just on tomorrow's practice, but everything that's gone on this week with the Bills, and we'll get ready for Sunday against Tennessee.
Yeah, and we'll talk to our buddy Jim Riley, Ballcap Sports. He'll be joining us as well tomorrow, as that'll be a lot of fun. Danger, you are off with your daughter. Have a good day. Tim Schneider will be here. His head will explode in the 5 o'clock hour because the Guardians, I think you can call that a must-win. You can't go down 3-0.
How are you enjoying the game tonight? What's your plan? Got to have a plan.
My plan is to pace and to do laundry in between breaks. I don't sit on the couch. I pace a lot.
You pace?
I pace, yeah.
Okay, you're a pacer.
And I do not drink during the games.
I wanted a nicer night, like maybe a little bit warmer, so I could go Garage Mahal for tonight's game. A little too chilly. I mean, I might have. Maybe I'm soft. Maybe I'm getting soft in my old age, but the cave feels a little bit nicer for Game 3 tonight from Citi Field. So that's. Oh, and the Sabres are on. But listen anyways. That's coming up tonight at 7 o'clock because they're in Pittsburgh looking to build on their win against Florida from over the weekend. Have a great night. And if you missed any part of the show, including our conversation with Spencer German from 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, or PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In on the BetQL Network, you can find those conversations wherever you get your podcasts. Search out The Sports Bar. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and, of course, the free-to-download Odyssey app, AUDACY. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan Rochester.